Welcome back to the A Stoner Podcast. I'm back with my wife, Jack, and our guest today is Sgt Jeremy O'Connor.
Hello.
So where do you work at?
Shelbyville Police Department.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
It's not all bad.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I've known you now for a decade or so.
At least. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I would say that Jeremy's probably the number one person who kept being persistent. I'm like, dude, got to get on this podcast. And your list of topics are long and awesome. And it's killing me because you're wearing a NASA shirt. So the other one we have planned is all going to be about like UFOs and
Right.
Isn't that what you have planned with everyone?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. But okay, here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, I want to talk about that. But yeah, do you want to just hear about it?
Right.
Or do you want to talk about it?
Right.
This guy actually can talk about it. So I know that Shelby has been requesting to come back on. She's lived in Reddit world.
Yeah.
And she's doing nothing but like space, this, nebula, that. You know?
Right.
Orion hit me with a wiffle ball bat.
So there's a story to this shirt. Kieran, my daughter, just went to Washington, D.C. with the 8th grade trip through, middle school. So she just got back a couple days ago. And she knows how much Dad is a space nerd, so at the Smithsonian and she picked this up for Dad. Yeah,
Where's my shirt?
Right.
Where's my shirt?
Yeah, Bear.
Yeah.
Where's
What
Adam's shirt?
Man.
Oh, you want a little fun fact real quick?
Yeah. A little Jack fun fact.
No, just because you're
Just
talking
an
about
extra.
space,
Yeah.
there are more trees on the planet than there are stars in the Milky Way.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Sounds
know
too
that.
good to be true, right?
It does.
Hashtag Arbor Day.
Right.
And it's like, I get it. Like, people are like, stop chopping down trees. But, like, if there's more trees
That's a
on
lot.
planet Earth than there are in the Milky Way galaxy, that's a lot of fucking trees.
No doubt.
'Cause
I mean, that's kind of actually like truly a crazy
Yeah.
little fact there.
No doubt.
So when a star falls and no one's around to see it, does it still make a sound?
Probably.
So another crazy fact is that I read somewhere all of humanity on the planet can live in the space the size of Texas.
It's actually New York.
Really?
sure?
It's New York.
Even smaller.
If every single New York City, in
Oh
fact,
my God.
yeah. If every human can, and you know what, I'm gonna fact check
Yeah.
myself
fact
here.
check yourself.
But if every person stood,
no. I'm talking
sardines.
about live. Like
Comfortably.
not just staying like live there. Yeah,
I thought you meant like
So-
every person on Earth
Yeah.
could file in side by
Right.
side, no one on top of each other. Could
No,
fit
I'm not
in
talking
New
about
York.
just packed in. I'm talking about like you could actually all of humanity could live in Texas. Now, it'd be crowded, I would assume, right?
Sure.
We're talking billions of people, but
Probably feel like New York.
It would
probably
feel
would.
like
That would be
Texas
terrible.
would be the new New York.
No, because I just read that one the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I know.
In New York? Gross. It dirty there.
Thank you.
It dirty.
It'd be like Los Angeles. No
There's
thanks.
more people in Bangladesh than there are in Russia.
Really? Well, that makes sense.
And-
Russia's just
Yeah.
really big.
It
So.
is, but like if you look at Bangladesh, it's tiny on the map.
Yeah.
This whole thing's just going to be a big old fact podcast.
Well, you went to
We'll
he
have
went
a-
to people in an
Yeah, I know,
area, so
right.
I had to
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
that one
right.
out.
no,
there.
I like it.
We're just gonna get.
like
We're just getting down.
Yeah,
Just let's start it lighthearted, okay?
Sure.
yeah, because this one's going to end kind of. Should we homeschool? Should we homeschool kids?
Right.
So, okay. Speaking of homeschool and school and all that good junk,
Yep.
what do you do with schools? Why don't you tell the good people?
So I wear several hats with the police department. I'm a day shift patrol sergeant. Been doing that for a couple of years. Ever since I got on the police department, I've worked on my days off as a school resource officer, right? And it seems like probably 8 or 10 years ago, they asked me to take over and be in charge of the SROs for our city school corporation. So I've been doing that. I love that because I love working with young people. And that kind of goes back to my, when I was in college, I worked at Jabalt, which is a youth treatment center in Terre Haute for, kids that are having issues, right? They get sent there by either probation or court or even sometimes the Department of Children's Services for various reasons. But generally it's the kids that are at risk or in trouble, things like that. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth working with young people. And so it was a natural fit for me to work in the schools. And the best part about it, I think, for me is I get to show young people what relationships with law enforcement can be like. That's not what they would just normally perceive it to be. You know what I mean?
Or what's shown to them on
For sure.
the other platforms of life.
Right. TV, movies, and especially on social media. It really blows me away what some kids actually think we do or what we are. I mean, it breaks my heart a lot of times, man.
Well, you're the bad guy. So like,
Sure.
even at the shop when I'm like, hey guys, like blame it on me. I'm the bad guy. Well, growing up, Timmy, you better behave or I'm calling the cops
man.
and they're going to throw you in jail.
No doubt.
And then you guys get called and you got to go and be like, can you just parent
Right.
your own children?
Please, just be a parent.
Why am I now the bad guy? So now every time they see a cop, they're going to be
Yes.
like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And to this day, even dad being an officer, every time one of you guys is behind me, it doesn't matter if I'm
It's fear.
following every rule in the book.
Dude,
Oh, I freak the fuck out.
I do too.
You do too.
Oh my God, seriously. So I got pulled over a couple weeks ago on the way down to Melissa's mom's house, and for speeding, and I was a nervous wreck. And here I am understanding what the trooper was doing on the way up to the car and everything, and
He touches the back. You're like,
right, I'm just like, I'm being pulled over. Okay, how fast was I going? All right, whatever. And I didn't even look at the warning that he gave me until I was down the road, and then I was like, man, there's no way I was going 72, but okay. I mean, maybe I was. I don't see why he would lie about it and then give me a warning. But yeah, man, I mean, that's for everybody. I think it's a human reaction to I'm caught or I've done something wrong. And those red and blue lights, that's what they mean to people. Like, I've done something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the culture that I try to change with kids at the school.
yeah, because it's instilled. I mean, like you haven't gone to other countries, but you look at them and their officer vehicles are like, you can see them from space.
Right.
Yeah, they're
NASA
not
can
trying
see
to
them.
freaking hide
Yeah,
who
it's
they
like,
are.
oh,
Right.
good, they're here. Here
Yeah.
in America, especially around
You're all
they're
trying to be
Teslas.
undercover.
Yeah.
and,
They're
like,
pure white Teslas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like pure white Teslas are around here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which I mean, so I'm a cruise control fanatic because I have a
Yeah.
lead foot. I'll be
Yep.
listening to a podcast. Or
Oh,
a
same
song,
here. Sure.
I'm just like,
And then look
know?
down and be, oh my God, I can't believe I'm.
yeah, I cruise control, especially through this area.
Oh
right
man,
here,
just
man.
coming. Yeah, on my way here tonight, I was like having to watch my speed in my truck because I'm like, man, I'm flying, and I've never been here before, so I don't even know, what the speeds are, other than when they're.
It's
posted.
weirdly wrong. Like this one over here by the police station, ironically, is 35 miles
It
an hour.
should be like 40,
It should be
45.
45,
Yeah.
50. It's a country
But
road.
I get it
Right.
because there are people that have to cross the street to get their mail.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep.
And it's kind of a bougier area, so
Yeah.
they're like, hey, slow it down.
Yeah.
But like
And look at our
on
fence.
our road,
Right.
You know what I mean?
on our road to come from that road here, it's 45,
yeah.
and it's like way more packed.
Yeah. Literally right here.
Yeah.
A lot of times it'll be because citizens will go to the municipality or to the Board of Works or to the county or city council and request that those speeds be changed, and then they'll do a traffic study. Generally, the police departments will have, if they're our size or bigger, they'll have someone that's dedicated as like the traffic safety officer, and then they'll do a traffic study. So if you're ever driving down the road and you see those, it looks just
Ropes?
they go across the road. There's always two,
Yep.
and there's a little box.
Because it tells if you go one way or the other way, right?
Yeah,
Which one hits first?
It tells the speed, so it can tell by when you hit the first one and how long it takes you to hit the second one. It'll tell you the speed of the
Speed up
vehicle.
every time.
Yeah, yes, just
Just
hammer
right
it.
there.
Yeah, just
Like a speed bump. You want to get
smash
that
it.
Dukes of
Yep.
Hazzard.
Yep, exactly. Yes.
Well, I have a grievance with you.
Okay.
Here, let me ask my new little alien
Fire away.
guy.
Why are you
Should I
asking?
ask this question?
Oh, I was like, how was I gonna tell you what to ask him?
Well, it's just all bubbles.
Because you shook it up, you Dumbo.
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to say it says yes.
Okay.
I failed on the first alien try. How come you guys are never around, meaning officers, when Johnny Bluetooth is acting like a jackhole?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I thought about that. I was like, what can I just throw at Jeremy as soon as he comes on the podcast?
And can you deputize me to be able to give people tickets for being assholes too? No,
or can you maybe like put into the
Sure.
system that everybody gets 3 Rams So
Yes.
here's what we're proposing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Okay,
hear it.
I propose putting a camera on the front and back of every single vehicle.
Okay.
No matter what.
Sure.
We're already all watched by Big Brother
doubt,
anyway.
no doubt.
If you got this, you're screwed.
Yep.
So 100%, like my phone can tell me how fast I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
And that technology is weird enough to me.
Exactly.
Like, if you're running, it could be like, you're running.
Yes.
Well, I'm running 2 miles per hour, you know,
Right.
whatever.
And
was
how
a
many
fat guy
calories you
joke.
burn and what you ate
Yeah,
today
right?
and what you're
Yeah.
probably going to eat tomorrow. And yeah.
Yep. Algorithms.
Yep.
And if they give me the right ads, they might dictate that. Anyway.
Exactly.
So
That's the one we'll go down on the next one.
That's a rabbit hole becoming one.
Yes.
No, but I propose if there's a camera in the front and a camera in the back, and someone does something little fuck around. Johnny Bluetooth is a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I get 3 rams before I get a mark on my license.
You're so
3 rams.
At what speed? I'll play. I'll bite.
I mean,
What's our speed?
If
I
it's
would-
any speed, I will dictate. All right, 35.
35 and below?
35 and below.
I'm down.
Yeah, just not like
Right.
I'm ramming them
Like,
to
no,
kill
hey,
them.
I'm
just
letting
a little,
you know.
Hey,
Stop
you're a
jacking
jackhole.
around.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I would say it would be
Jackal
better, like, although this would get super annoying and be very hard to monitor, but like that, like using front camera, back camera for people that are like cutting people off blatantly, not you like
those people are
endangering.
the worst.
Turn those fucking things in, and then you
Right.
get their plate and fucking
Okay,
just
so
mail them a ticket.
You're being realistic about
Yeah.
it. I want to ram those people.
I do too,
Yes.
but like
We
my
all do.
car I get hit barely, and my car is like crumble. Like
that's
a
the thing.
fucking-
So, like old school cars, definitely this would have worked out great because they were made.
Oh, no,
right?
no, see,
new cars.
I get what you're saying,
You just
but
tear your shit up.
do you not think we would all Mad Max our shit?
Oh, no doubt, right? Steel
know what I
bumpers
mean?
everywhere.
Dude,
Everybody's got
hell yeah.
mil spec
Welcome to
steel.
Thunderdome,
people
bitch.
will just
Right,
be at
yes.
they'll just be running each other off the roads at that point. Like, oh,
So-
I bumped him.
It's funny
It was
because
my first bump, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he
no,
went
I got
off
2
a
more.
cliff.
Yeah,
It's like I was doing a bump too. You know what I mean?
right. Well, let me see your footage, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, you've only done the one. You're good.
Yeah.
Sorry, that guy went off the cliff. It's his own
Yeah,
fault.
because if you bump and this is I didn't finish my proposal.
Okay.
Because I got sidetracked on myself. I think if you bump someone incorrectly, it's automatically attempted murder.
Ooh.
100%.
So you need to take this dead serious.
Yeah, dead serious is very good pun, sir.
Oh yeah. Right.
No, seriously, because if you
Yeah.
bump someone, I think I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible.
Okay.
So it can be done. Vote for me. 2024. Vote for Stoner 2024.
Ooh,
Be for
if-
victory.
And then are we going to implement that purge card? Oh,
That's after I
Not
get in
yet.
office.
okay, never mind.
Okay.
I
Some
want a
things we
purge
don't talk about
Right.
before I get into
I
office.
just want to turn in a
Listen,
purge
I want to
card
make
a
it
few times.
huge. I want to make all the purges big. I want to have whole month of October. That way the
purge
costumes get
month.
sold everywhere.
Yes.
The most bigly masks.
So
my
every single time that my dad rides in the car with me anywhere, whether I'm with a police car or his car or my car, whatever, somebody does something stupid, and he's like,
Get him.
"Oh, you can't. You're not in the police car right now." And I'm like, "Dad,
Is he
I
still a
wouldn't stop."
judge?
No, he's retired now.
He's retired,
Yep.
and that's why you can't.
No.
Because can't he just be like, like the scar
Like-
is deputized?
Yeah,
or
like
something.
you're just sanctioned immediately.
Just in my mind, the judges have powers like
Yeah,
witches do in
yeah.
Harry Potter.
They
Just
think
be
they
like,
do.
should deputized or
I've seen
something.
too many judges take advantage of their power or try to.
Don't judge them.
No doubt some have. No doubt. Right?
Don't judge them.
I
Only
will
God can
say-
judge them.
I will say, and of course I'm biased here,
Yeah.
but my dad had a reputation of being extremely fair and honestly almost leaning towards, which rightfully so, right, towards the citizen. There wasn't a government lean, right? Dad was always on the side of the people and gave everyone their due process, which is what we're all guaranteed by the Constitution of our great nation.
I never met your father.
Really?
Yeah, I've never met him.
I thought you guys did.
And if I have met him, it was
In
a
passing.
decade ago.
Yeah.
And like, hey, this is my dad. I'm
Right.
like, nice to meet you. And he's like,
Yeah.
uh-huh. And then it was,
Yeah, no, that quick,
Nothing
huh?
where we
Man,
never
we gotta
have a-
we gotta make that happen.
yeah. And honestly, I tattooed in Shelbyville for 7,
yeah,
8 years in my career.
yeah.
I don't know. The Rue Morgue was there for a long time, and I had Great American before that. And I heard nothing but extremely nice things
Well,
about your father. And I'm talking about, I was a bounty hunter before this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or a bail agent. It's just
Sure.
easier to say bounty hunter for
Yeah.
people. It makes it sound more exciting than what it
Well,
was.
and they know what that means.
Let's get into this though. So for those listening at home, you obviously got the idea that we all know each other really well. But let's talk about something else that knows you really well. So you are a sergeant in the same town you grew up in.
Yeah.
So what is it like being an officer in the same town you pulled all your crap in growing up?
Right. Man, that's a great question. It's tough, man. And it was tough, especially early on because, well, I've got a handful of people that I still call friends, you know, that were before, say like high school age. My best friend, Sean, he's a brother, you know, to me as thick as blood. But, other than that, you know, mostly people are just, they've kept their distance, and it really, the perception of what my career was made everybody just kind of like, whoa, they took a step back and I don't know. And you probably know what this is like walking into the room as either a musician or a tattoo artist with people that are there that are familiar with that. Right. Mm-hmm. And there's always you know, they say something about what you do. Like after today and before today, every cop is going to experience, as soon as they walk into a room off duty, I didn't do it, or, you know, take him.
Oh man,
or whatever.
You're making me feel guilty because every time
You
an
do
officer
it.
comes into the shop, I'm like,
Right.
hide your drugs.
Right. But, and so that's one of those things, right? Like we get used to that. That's one of those, like, we just know it's going to happen. And so when you're the guy on the receiving end of that, and it's your old friends that you may have done shit with that were probably your parents would look down on, right? You kind of, it
would
makes you
judge
feel
you?
weird, right? It makes you, you're right.
I'm sure it makes
Wait, do I
them
have
feel
that one?
weird. You know
No
all
doubt.
the shit that
Exactly.
they did.
Right. Exactly. And so I've always tried really hard to just make them feel like, look, guys, every incident that I go to is based on that incident. You know what I mean? I don't hold grudges. And that's a huge thing. I think first of all, police officers in general, like if you're a grudge holder, you know, like that's going to be
The difference between an officer and being Farva.
no doubt. Absolutely.
You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
that's a great way to put it, truly, because like if you can't just let go of things and truly look at a situation based on the facts of why you're there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you do have to recall other incidents that you were called there to deal with, like on a domestic, right? If old boy has tuned his girlfriend up several times and she's there crying saying, no, I fell down the stairs again. Like, you know better. You better know better, right? Or you're a shitty cop.
Well, there's one thing to not forget and another thing to harbor.
Exactly. And to use it against somebody,
Yes.
right? With
'Cause
malice.
sometimes also too, it flips. I mean, I'm sure you see this all the time, and we've talked about things like this too. Say, you know, I'm tuning Jackie up all the time.
Yeah.
Well, say one night
does.
she just, I said, shut up.
We'll talk about it after.
Yeah, I
We're
can show
gonna-
you the bruises.
I told you, I'll give you more tattoos to cover
I know
them up.
that's why I'm covered. He forced me to get
Not
tattoos.
true.
You're getting ready to get bumped off the road.
Yep. All 3 times tonight.
Me.
I'm taking all 3 of my bumps.
Yes.
But like say like, you know, my brother has been a victim of that too, where yeah, they know who you are. So I'm going to pull so it's not every time.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that game is huge in domestic.
Man, I'll tell you, I've had friends, and these are the hardest ones for me to deal with just personally, and taking out the professionalism part of it, right? And really having to be the professional when you go to a call, not knowing who it involves, and then it involves one of your friends that you used to party with or whatever, and they expect
What's up,
special
bro?
treatment.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, here I am with my peers now who are law enforcement officers, and you're putting me in a tight spot, and I didn't ask for it. Like, you've done whatever you've done or didn't do. We'll get there and figure that part out. But, you know, I really try to make people understand and empathize with me on that. And I don't mind having that conversation with them. And it's taken me, I'm almost 16 years in. It's taken me that long to be comfortable having that conversation. Like, look, dude, you're putting me in a really bad spot here. Like, you're asking me for a favor for something that I clearly can't give you a favor on. And I'm getting ready. And a lot of times what I'll do and what we do is we just, if we're afforded the opportunity, is we will just check out. Hey man, I need you, Adam, I need you to take this call for me because I'm too close. I'll tell you about it later, but we were friends formerly or outside of work, whatever. So I need you to handle it. And that's instant code for me. Like, hey, you can't be impartial, or you can, but it's going to make it really awkward. So I don't mind taking this call. You know what I mean? And sometimes you don't get that opportunity. Sometimes you just have to deal with it. I've taken friends to jail and had to have heart-to-heart conversations.
Are you
with them,
like Dog the Bounty Hunter when you do it? Like, what I mean is, do you show up at the house,
And
kick him in the face?
No.
And then,
Come on,
Jesus
bro.
loves you, bro.
Yeah, right.
You want a cigarette, bro?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Now, I will tell you, I do keep smokes in the car for certain situations.
That's
for people.
disgusting.
Well, it is what it is. I'll tell you,
Car smells like an ashtray.
No, I don't smoke in the car. I just keep a pack of smokes in there. You know, if I'll go out,
Your peers are watching
I
this,
will
right?
tell you that my peers know. Sometimes if I go out and have a few drinks with, friends, I might have a cigarette or two here and there. So I'll take those and just throw them in the car. And so they're usually stale by the time I give them away to people, but they don't care.
Seriously? You're taking me to jail and I have to put this ass
Right.
in my mouth?
Well, they don't have any room to complain.
Exactly. You'd be surprised at how well that works in de-escalation.
So because we can just treat them like animals because
Yep. No.
giving them a stale cigarette.
jokes, people.
Right.
Jokes. You know what I never noticed before? Like it's the whole thing of like, I never connected dots with even my dad or all the other, because I mean, as you know, I'm friends with like tons of officers.
Sure.
Try not to just have only like law enforcement and military on this podcast, but it's hard. That's who we know. We know
Right.
just a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Have you had other police on?
no.
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, Dad,
I mean,
Technically.
outside dad, right.
but Dad was on as a dude. I'll tell you real quick about Dad. Since his podcast, he is now a certified parapsychologist.
Yeah.
He's taken, I think, 3 different courses. Excuse me, to further his demonology. One with the Catholic Church, I believe. Don't quote me on this. He's going to come on again. One in India,
Yeah.
and the last one he did was with a gal up in Oregon.
Dude, when he comes
He's
back,
just like,
let me know because I want to hang out. I just want to just pick his brain. Just,
yeah. Oh yeah.
We
I mean,
talked
it's-
at the wedding and stuff, but I didn't want to hoard your dad.
Yeah.
Well, you had a horror and Dad, so I mean that's right, Dad. You're watching, right?
But I didn't want to keep him.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like take up all his time. He was there to celebrate your guys' wedding and stuff. And like, I'd heard
Actually-
so much about him all the years that we've been friends. And I had so many things I wanted to tell him. Like, man, me and Adam have been friends forever. And, he, like, you kind of saw me come up as a policeman, you know, because I was on for maybe 3 or 4 years when you opened the shop. And then that was it. Like,
Yep.
we've been friends since then. And I mean, you're the only person that I will ever let put ink on me again. That's just is
Sucker.
what it is. Right. So please don't stop
Do
yet.
you punch him too?
Yes. Yes. Right.
I do it, and I get a bigger high because he is law enforcement. So I'm like,
I'm
you
weak.
could take me to jail,
Yes. But you won't.
but you won't
Because you need me to cover
because you know I
this.
don't smoke stale cigarettes.
Exactly.
No. So actually, Dad would have really liked if you did hoard him at the wedding.
Yeah.
Because he had to pull full blown cop therapy
Oh no.
on an officer that was there. And I'm not going to say any names.
Sure.
But there was another officer there. I think he was like SWAT or FBI or I don't remember what he
I don't
is.
remember either.
Higher up. He's not just an officer.
Right.
Because I mean, you did SWAT forever too.
I'm still on our SWAT team. Yeah.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
So like he did hardcore stuff, and right before they flew here, I guess he just had this horrible shooting event that just happened.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
said I don't want to call
Yep.
anyone out directly.
Yep.
But Dad had to like take him downstairs away from the wedding. He missed all the wedding speeches. Lucky him. And he had to he came back. He was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Because the mood changed.
Yeah,
after
yeah, right.
The speeches about our wedding were entertaining, to say the least. But
It was great. It was a great time, man.
no, for what I was getting at a minute ago, though, is like, it never really occurred to me until talking to you right now. You guys have to kind of deal with cancel culture of yourself all the time.
All the time.
That's weird.
It's
That's a weird thing to think of. Because I mean, we
it's an
appoint
extra level of stress, man.
You do it yourself, of
Right.
course, right?
No
but
doubt.
But we are appointing officers to protect and serve us.
Sure.
It's a right that the country gives officers to take.
Oh my gosh.
To withhold the law,
Yeah.
right?
And it's a huge responsibility. Like I tell people, the president of the United States doesn't even have the power that I have.
Right.
They can't take a person's freedom away from them like
Right.
I have the ability to do.
Which is why there's so many arguments on the other side, because there's really good tattoo artists
No doubt.
and then there's really fucking bad ones
All right.
that tattoo like Post Malone's face and stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
Right,
You know, it's one of those things, man, where like there are really amazing officers.
Exactly.
So
and there are
it's like, all
shitty
cops
ones.
suck, and then they're the worst kind of humans.
No doubt.
ever.
Right.
But it's kind of like my favorite thing is like you see this picture of Jackie and I. I don't know if you can zoom in on that or whatever. And you can tell Nate talks to me. Hi Nate. I'll get back to you after the pod. But the photo of us here at our wedding, ironically, right?
Yep.
So is that not you in that photo?
Right.
No, it was me, but that was 2 years ago. I changed.
Yeah.
I
There's
grew.
been a lot of
I
stuff
grew from
happening
this.
since then.
Yeah, you may have grown, but this is still you,
still
right?
you, right? You
it's
did
like, yeah,
this.
but I have a beard now.
Yeah, but can I just give you some context?
Yeah, like
Right.
I've been through these things. I
Yeah.
may have been a crap head.
No doubt.
But at the same time, now I'm an officer. I've been doing this for 16 years.
Right.
And I've grown and learned, and I love a new way. For
sure.
And it's kind of, it never hit me how, like, I don't know, just a little bit more of respect happened for all of law enforcement for that reason.
I
Because
appreciate that,
You
man.
guys are getting shot filling up your gas
I'll tell you.
because you are wearing blue,
Yeah.
you know?
There was a point in time with, when the whole defund police thing really got heavy, that I would be a straight up liar if I said that every person that I knew on the police department, sheriff's departments, and everywhere wasn't going, what in the hell am I doing? Like, why am I putting myself through this? And most of us found ourselves going, dude, this is all we know. Like, you're kind of stuck, like you've invested in a career and you've got mortgage payments and bills and family and then still a love and a calling to do that job, to where it's like, look, it's shitty right now, man, but we'll get through it.
You guys plunge yourself into the filth of society almost every call. See, we see normal people, and you do too.
Sure.
Daytime guys see a lot more normal
Right.
people.
Oh,
But
yeah.
nighttime
Yeah.
officers?
I did most of my career on nights.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have plunged your hands into the filth of your town.
Right.
And you know the filth of your town.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
sure you get kind
unfortunate.
of jaded by that.
You do.
And so when everybody's hating on you, and for some officers, they need to be hated on.
For sure.
But that's not a blanket thing. Just 'cause
Right.
there's- like I said, there's amazing preachers, and then there's Catholics. And then I'm kidding. Then there's really canceled. And then there's really bad preachers. And there's really good teachers,
Right.
and there's really bad. The thing that scared me the most about that whole era, which it kind of seems like we're kind of forgetting about it
We're
now.
tail end. Yeah,
we're
it
just
seems
kinda-
like.
we're on to the next thing now. Will
Sure.
Smith smack somebody.
Right.
So like, you know what I mean? Like cancel culture is not really a thing, right?
You're right.
I mean, so
Is it?
I don't think it is. All the people I knew were canceled. They're back making movies.
No dout.
So anyway,
Well, it depends on who you are.
well, I mean, if you're Kevin
Right.
Spacey, rock out, right?
Yeah.
So I love Kevin Spacey though, and I hate what he did.
I
It
love his
ruined a lot
body of work.
films.
No doubt,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Seven. Been a kid.
Right.
We talked about this the other day.
We
Ref.
did. Yeah. No doubt,
If
man.
you've never seen Ref, it's my favorite
yeah.
Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Reminds me
Dennis
of my mom.
Leary, right.
Dude, yeah, buckets of cheese.
Yes.
But like, I don't know, man. It's if all the officers got kicked or quit because of, the good ones,
Mm-hmm.
then what? We have only assholes fill the shoes?
Guaranteed.
Only the people that want the power, more
exactly.
power
They
than the
got
president?
the job for the wrong reasons. Yeah.
It's like once you weed out, it's conspiracy time.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make a little thing. Conspiracy time.
Yes.
Here, let's do this. Ready?
Conspiracy time.
Yeah, dude. I love it.
Yeah, cool. So, because I just made another Jack's Facts. I like that. So my conspiracy time would be that I feel like there was part of like an agenda that was happening to kind of
Make
hey,
it be that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, so I know the government just recently passed a law, or I'm sorry, attempted, let me fact check myself. Yep, attempted to make the law to, I'm sure you heard about this. They just put a stop to it. But the government, this administration, there was a bill proposed where it was going to lessen the sentences of murderers, rapists, attempted murder. It's going to make your sentence less.
Sure. Why not? Right.
Well, I think that, and we were talking about this a little bit ago, and it's like, I think they're wanting martial law.
It sure feels like they're pushing for that
You know?
sometimes, man. It really does.
Which martial law with that, because there's been a lot, I'm sure we just got demonetized by me saying that, but what, isn't that you guys?
No.
That would be
martial law
military?
would be military law. Yeah, for
But
sure.
wouldn't you guys be militarized?
They would call us in to do specific things or request that we do specific things. But, I think if we ever get to a point, and this is not the Shelbyville Police Department talking or
Are
any
you allowed to say
representative.
this?
I'm just going to say what I'm feeling right now, which is you're going to get if we get to that point, which God, I hope it never does, but if we did, then you would have so many people who feel like me say, I want no part of this. So even if you ask me or tell me it's now my duty to go in people's homes without warrants and take things from them or seize their home or seize them, we're out. Like I will say you'll have the majority of law enforcement officers totally buck the system.
But
sure.
can I be devil's advocate?
Sure, please.
In World War One, this is another little fun fact. In the trenches, when we were like, go over that field right there, soldier, and blah, blah. I don't know, I might blow up. Boom. We used to do that.
Yeah.
Our side would
Right.
kill our own side for
Sure.
not following orders.
Sure.
You best believe the next guy standing next to him would be following every order you
No
said.
doubt. No doubt.
Watching his brother just get demolished.
Right.
And then, they got missing in action. I mean, this has come out declassified. This is a thing.
Yeah.
This happened, probably still happens. We don't know, but for sure, World War One
It did.
and World War Two,
Yeah, that's how they dealt
loosely.
with.
So do you think that would be ever a thing?
I just don't see it where we're at right now, honestly.
No, I'm talking because I want to go fun. I just want to do fun, and then we'll jump
Okay.
into real reality here. We'll do this a little bit, and then we'll throw in some Jackson.
All right, sure.
Do you think it'd be like that?
I don't. I really don't. Well, I mean,
If you were to say like, no, I don't want to.
like what you're saying is if the new world order takes over and they're like, you're going to participate in this or we're just going to whack you.
Yes.
And then guys will just be like, well, I don't want to get whacked.
Yes,
I think you would still have a fair majority of guys that would just be like, no way.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but I do know that
Some of them would definitely because the fear.
I've done a study for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
With every client that I like to do, and if you're a client, you're watching this, and I've asked you this, it's because I was doing recon. I like doing psychology studies
Yeah.
in my own brain.
Right.
Just talking to people, bouncing off, and we've had crazy stories when I've tattooed you, right?
Yeah.
But this is one of them. Did you realize by my own statistics, this is Adam's statistics, right? That about one officer I've ever asked said that, yeah, they probably would. And
Because
about,
they didn't want to get killed.
yes.
Yeah.
And out of probably like 50 dudes.
Yeah.
And probably about one military
Mm-hmm.
said that they wouldn't.
I believe you. I believe that because of the structure. And here's the thing.
Isn't that scary?
It is, but I think, let me give some context. We do totally different things, right?
Sure.
Our military is there to protect us, and especially outside of the United States. And we are exactly the opposite. Like, I'm to come link arms with you
Mm-hmm.
and band against the government if they ever try to, like, we'll form our own militia, before we let a bad government take over things.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's the Second Amendment. I mean, that's what it falls
sure.
into.
And every
The-
police officer swears an oath to serve and protect our people based on the Constitution, as do the military, no doubt.
Sure.
But
There's a different code for sure.
For sure, man. And they have different rules, obviously, right?
Well, yeah, when you're in
And
the
if martial
military, you
law
sign
takes
that you're
over-
property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The expectation for me and for police officers is we use our brain, right? And we make split second decisions, whereas the military is follow orders. Don't question it, follow orders. Well, the expectation on me is if you get to a scene, it gets haywire, you're expected to critically think and work through this and don't fuck it up, right? Like, don't fuck it up because you're going to be held accountable now more than ever. And we're going to second guess every decision you made with plenty of time and the comfort, all of that, right? So that's a heavy weight. But that reinforces why I would link up with the people far before I would ever, say, no way, I'm nah.
One of the reasons why this was on my mental list to bring up, 'cause for one, it's fun.
It is.
It's
a
fun.
fun. It's a
It's
fun.
fun.
It's a fun exercise to think through, man.
But it's also not far from a lot of people's thoughts.
No doubt.
Right now.
No doubt.
We are never been closer to martial law. We've never been closer to a nuclear war. I mean, it's
scary.
We're on the button.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, it was just fun for me. And then two, I thought it would be really nice to let people know what an actual officer has to say. Once again, proving you're not a bad guy.
Man,
You're here for the people.
no doubt. No
and
doubt.
and that right there, I think is super, super important because most people, Army proud.
Sure.
and you should be
Absolutely.
100%.
And I love our military.
Yes,
No, I don't want
100%.
anybody to take anything I said
No.
negatively that
But
I was
there
speaking
is-
bad about the military.
and I don't think they're going to.
Okay.
They-
Because I have family that's military.
no, for sure.
Yeah.
No one's going to take that
Nothing
out of
like
context
that.
at all.
It
And
is
if you
two
did,
different things.
you didn't hear us what we said.
No doubt. No doubt. It's two totally different
Right.
things.
But
100%.
I just wish that this country would also do it with blue.
No doubt.
Green and blue, I'm colorblind to you both. So I think you're both assholes. Let's do some Jack's facts.
Can I say real quick before we do that one
Nope.
thing? I just want to say again to reinforce to your listeners is that the military serves such a different function, and the mindset is so different. And we get a lot of officers that transition from the military into police work, right? I have a family member who is, married my sister, Doug, and he was military before he was the police. And there's a process they have to go to get out of that, taking orders, and then into, okay, I've got to critically think here for this incident, right? Like it's not a chain of command that I got to run up the pole to make every decision. I'm expected to make the right decision here. And once they make that transition, they're just like, it's all about, everyone's doing the same thing for us, for Americans. It's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
What I love too is how passionate you are when someone asks you really stupid questions.
Yeah.
I think it's rad.
I appreciate that, brother.
No, seriously.
Thank
I
you.
think
No,
it's
I
rad.
appreciate it.
Because I thought about doing, and maybe I should have. When you come back on this, I'll probably do it.
All right.
I was like, is there a question that you'd want to ask an officer, and how open-ended that would be?
Sure.
A lot of people, they fear the blue.
No doubt.
They do.
That's all they know, man.
Yeah.
It's time for Jack's Facts.
Did you know that koalas have fingerprints that are indistinguishable between like humans? So, actually, koalas can totally mess up a crime scene. That's a little fun fact for you there. Here's a little movie fact for you. Did you know that in every scene of Fight Club, you can find a Starbucks cup? I'm going to have to rewatch it just to confirm, but people say it's true. Now I'm going to have to go looking for it. Spider webs were once used as bandages in ancient times. If you think about it, it kind of makes sense because those fuckers stick to you like glue. You can't get those babies off. And that's Jack's Facts.
So one of the other hats that I wear for the police department, and I don't mean to sound like I'm the only person that does it, that we, the police, deal with overwhelmingly, especially post-COVID, is mental health. We were always the people that got called, to check on somebody that someone thought was losing it, right? But it seems like, and I can get you like dead accurate numbers, every day, I bet at least 30 to 45% of the calls we get, if not more, and that's probably a very conservative estimate, are welfare checks. And that is, hey, can you go check on my so-and-so, sister, grandma, friend? They're having a really hard time, or, we're worried they won't answer a phone, or can't get a hold of them, or they've said that they want to hurt themselves, just whatever. Man, that is such a trick bag, because we were never meant to be counselors, right? I feel like I segued into that position a lot easier than some other officers have because of the work I did with the kids at Jabal over in Terre Haute, right? Because that was a major part of what I did was, if we had to restrain a kid over there for getting out of control or whatever, do a physical restraint, we had a process that was, first of all, we utilized a program called TCI. It was developed by Cornell University. Melissa was actually an instructor on this whole technique. It's a big, long training that every staff member has to go through over there.
If you're listening, Melissa is his wife.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Melissa O'Connor. Yep.
I was just about to do that.
Thanks. And she, by the
We
way,
got you, girl.
She, by the way, is the director now in Shelby County of a program called the Youth Assistance Program, which is an amazing program that works specifically to help at-risk kids and their families. So if we see any of the indicators, or anyone, not just we, I mean, it could be family members, friends, teachers, anyone in the community sees this young person is experiencing risk or showing, hey, there's risk factors there for this person. They can be referred to the program. It's free and voluntary. Doesn't cost them a dime. They basically wrap this family around with services, right? With counseling. I mean, maybe they're food insecure, poor, what we used to call poor, they just didn't have the ability to get food. A lot of times it's just help with bills and things like that, or helping them get financially stable. Maybe they need to take a class to understand how to work a budget, stuff like that. I don't want to kind of get way off the path, but I want to definitely give Melissa her dues because that program is amazing. And it's one of the only proactive things that we do to keep kids from going down that path, right? And everyone here and all of your listeners know people that you can just look at the situation that they're in and see that the kids are like, man, they don't have a chance, right?
Yeah.
Those are the kids, especially those kids that were like, hey, let's scoop those kids up and wrap them up with tutoring. We're going to hook them up with a mentor. And that could be an adult in our community that's successful, that volunteers an hour a week to spend with this young person, just so they have someone that they can look up to and go, hey, they're not judging me. They're not punishing me. This isn't a, hey, if you don't be good, I'll call your mentor. This is no, I'm taking Johnny out. We're going to go bowling for, Friday or whatever. Like, he needs to see what real positive interaction between adults and children is, so that then they can pass that on, and it's a cycle. We all know that.
How beneficial is it for you to personally have a counselor? Isn't that kind of like the
That's
best
kept
gift
me on
ever?
the rails. Yeah, it's kept me on the rails.
Not necessarily talking about you having a counselor. I mean,
Right.
like your wife.
Yeah, that's what I'm
has
saying.
all the tools.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like having the best co-pilot
It really
that
is.
has all the tools
It
to
really
handle. You know
is.
what I mean?
And look, we are just like every other married couple, man. We have disagreements. I mean, if you don't, something's not right, because we're different people with different perspectives.
Well, we always get along.
You're right. So do Melissa.
you
and
laugh
I.
like
I
that?
love you, babe. By the way, you know that.
Well,
But-
the good thing about psychology, right, is like you don't get answers, you get questions.
No doubt.
To
And
find
you just
the
continue
answers.
to dig.
Yeah, because
Right.
they have answers within themselves.
Yes.
You need to get them to realize it.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
And
if
it's
you
a
and your wife
beautiful
disagree.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you're self-discovering yourself.
doubt.
And someone's helping you do it, and then you bond even further.
I can't tell you how many times she's led me to that doorway. And I guess I don't know how many times I didn't open the door. But the times that I did were just like, thanks for that revelation. I appreciate it. And then it makes sense beyond that. Like, looking back, like, man, where would I be if you wouldn't have helped me out in understanding this?
Sure.
Or taking the time and care, just like we were talking about a critical incident. And I've had several in my career. And being able to go home and talk to her keeps me from bagging all that stuff up and then doing the destructive things that police officers are known to do, right? Drinking, women, that kind of stuff. Like, that's the stuff that does us in. It is. And your dad, I'm sure, has told you the same stories.
Yep. And I've known a few
And
too.
tons of officers, right? And like, you talk to any police officer, they'll tell you that there's things that get us in trouble, and those are the
Well,
the
you're-
vices
you're
like
human.
everyone else. Thank you.
You're
And that's
human.
it. That's it. That's the bottom line. But to have the support that I have at home, and I didn't mean to cut you off because I know you were going to say something,
No,
Jackie.
all I was going to say, this is going to be embarrassing now, but all I was going to say is, don't worry, honey. I know you've also led me to the door many times too.
Out the door.
The front door, the back door, my truck door. I've slept at the shop a couple times.
Sure.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that was it. I was just going to.
But look, like, that's real life, right?
I
I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you
My
have to say
bad.
you want to
Yeah,
talk to your
yeah,
wife?
right.
Obviously, you felt like what you were going to say was so important
Well,
that you had to like.
I have a problem. I know I have that problem where I have a soul, ripping off Jim real quick. I have a soul of a clown that when things get super serious, I have to
Yep.
suit up and go, "Wah, wah."
Sure.
Like, I have to do it.
Yeah, it's like
Anyway.
the gallows humor that the police have, man, for real. We get ragged on
What-
for
what
that
did you
all-
call it?
Gallows humor, right?
Man, I
so
like that.
Here's a prime example. We're standing around a scene where we've got called because, hey, we've discovered a deceased person. And it's shocking to us, even as police, whether they'll tell you it is or isn't. They're lying if they say it doesn't have an impact on you. It does. We'll crack jokes. You know what I mean? And that's because that's a way to add brevity, or levity to the situation. Like, hey, I'm struggling dealing with this, so I'll crack a joke, and get everybody to laugh for a second. It's like a subconscious.
You haven't gone all the way through our catalog. We talk about this a lot with the humor that Wonka.
Sure.
When Wonka came on, being military, his humor is really jacked up.
No doubt.
And we Jackie and I both looked at the camera and goes, if you don't like it, you try. That
right.
thing. I'll ask Dad if I'm able to say this or not. So this may be cut. This may not be cut. He was at a scene one time and he had his camera on, and he forgot his camera was on. And he showed up and this gal was
We've all done it.
Deceased, right? And she was laying over the bed and she was nude and she was, I think, wrongfully dead, right?
Right.
Trying to be as sensitive as possible.
Sure.
And he walked in and goes, well, I got this case all cracked wide open.
See, and for me, I instantly like, because
and then they're like,
I get it.
Stoner, your freaking camera's on you.
Yeah.
Oop, we'll have to say that in court.
Right.
But he was like, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was a young gal murdered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Potentially.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know for sure.
Right.
But dead, at least, which is a tragic thing for
No
a young
doubt.
person to die anyway.
But
and it just kind of,
It's so shocking. Like, if we all sat here right now for 10 seconds and didn't say a word, the uncomfortableness that would happen, it would just creep in. Now, even though we're friends and we
I'd
know
probably
each other,
explode.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and Melissa gets on me all the time because she knows I'm the worst with the uncomfortable silence. Like, I don't like it. That's when
Should we try it?
No.
I
You're gonna
wouldn't.
make me do
I
it.
couldn't do it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I would never be able to do it.
I couldn't
I mean,
either.
I love sitting and like not speaking
Same.
and not listening to anything.
but when there's a social interaction,
Yeah, and
it's
then it just
whack.
gets like you go from talking to like everyone just
And it
gets
changes
quiet.
the
It's
mood.
like
It changes the mood, doesn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to edit 10 seconds in right now.
Okay.
Wasn't that crazy? We
That
made
was
it.
crazy. I don't know.
We made, I don't know. I'm probably not going to do that.
But, so that is our way of being able to kind of slough off or shield off the negative energy. Just kind of like, nope, doesn't bother me, or I'm pretending like it doesn't exist, because that's the mental armor that we put up. It's a shield.
Yep.
That's it, man.
Yep.
It's that simple. And as inappropriate as it seems, or definitely as insensitive as it can be or come across, it's never meant to be disrespectful or hurtful to anyone. It is simply that I'll even call it an insecurity, right? Because, man, we see shit that people aren't supposed to see on a regular basis, right? So, and I have to remind myself of this all the time. Like, we see stuff that people may never see of a lifetime. And we could see it all in one shift, right? So we develop mechanisms, no different than nature creates different mechanisms in animals and everything, right? To deal with things in their environment. That's just one of those things that we've developed.
So that's got to be another good plus for you guys to be able to implement those kind of mechanisms into a struggling child.
For sure.
So is that so?
It's especially for me evident when I see that and I know what's happening. Like, when a family may, and so this is another thing that Melissa and I have talked about bringing to Shelby County, at least, and I think it should be done everywhere. Other agencies do this and communities do this. It's a program called Handle with Care, and it basically is, hey, I don't have to give you details as the teacher, but I can let the school know that I was at Johnny's house last night and bad stuff happened. So if he acts like an ass today, give him the benefit of the doubt. He was around when some shit happened that he shouldn't have been around for.
Mm-hmm.
So don't wig out or take it to the max on him. Have a little empathy and understand that he's a human, a child, no less. And let's just be considerate, right?
That would be awesome because I mean we're definitely going to get into the bullying of schools.
Yeah.
I definitely want to make sure that we get into
No
that.
doubt.
But that's another thing too, man. Like we're human, and these little humans in school, your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25. you're trying to process all these emotions, these hormones that you're having.
Right.
You're going
They're all
through
shoved
puberty.
in a building with each other.
You know, and that's where,
No
you know,
kidding.
personally, like we've talked to our son many times before. Since the pandemic in particular, he has never been the same about school.
Same.
He's never, you know, I think
Kieran,
we've all
Kieran
changed,
is exactly
right?
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're about the same age
Yeah.
too, 14,
Yep,
right?
14, yeah.
And so he just turned 15. So like never been the same,
Right.
never looked at it the same.
They
you know?
developed a shell around them, man.
Yes.
Like a turtle,
But
literally.
the thing that gets into the mental illness side of it all is I really think that we messed up, you know, because I'll just go ahead and say it now. I don't really care. They did that to us. It's been announced that they released COVID
Yeah.
upon us.
Right.
It was a weapon. Just no one seems to care.
They're just calling it something
But we
different,
also
sure.
admitted that there were aliens, and no one seemed to care about that
Right.
either, which we'll
Agreed.
get into it on another podcast.
Aliens.
Aliens. So, you know,
NASA.
That's
all-
right.
They know, man.
no, man, they know. They know.
They've known forever.
Yeah, they have. So, you know, and then, you know, they really showed their ass.
Right.
Because they dealt their cards, and kids are smarter than they've ever been.
No doubt.
And
And they're
so-
expected to be.
Yes. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, naturally.
Sure.
These kids are coming
Because-
out of the womb going, iPad?
And no doubt, they have the answers to everything in the world in their pocket.
Yes.
So the expectation
From
to
birth
learn,
now.
no shit.
Yeah.
So the expectation to grow like we grew
Oh, it's gone.
emotionally and all of that, it is, as a parent, I will tell you, just as a dad, man, I struggle a lot of days because I'm like, ugh, you're not learning it the same way I did. And I'm not talking about math. That's a whole different deal, man. Like
Yeah.
I can't do
Everyone listening was like, the math, man.
Yes, right.
Everyone went,
We all went to the same place. You all did. But I mean, I'm just talking about like getting my child to understand things so that they have a respect for the reason or the process, the way that we grew up with it. And maybe our process was if you jack around, you're going to get your ass smacked. And the pain compliance part of it was just the factor that it took to get you to get over the hump. Like, you know what? I don't have the right to talk to you this way because I'm going to experience pain if I continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was clear as mud to me when I was a kid, as it was, I'm sure, for you.
yeah.
Today, I think our kids don't have the same respect for that because they don't, and no doubt, I don't want to, again, come across as insensitive to the children that are experiencing abuse.
Yeah.
I'm talking about discipline. There
Yes.
is a huge difference.
And people like to pretend like disciplining your children is abuse, and that
Exactly.
fucking pisses
Same,
me.
same. I tell you, Jackie, I go on calls all the time, and I literally, we get calls. Parents will call and say, "Well, my 7-year-old won't go to school," and I'm like, "You're calling the police because your 7-year-old won't go to school?"
You fucking make him. You're the parent.
Exactly. You
Well,
have
no, but
way more.
Back to the beginning of the podcast, you're the bad guy.
Right. And
you make him go to school.
And so there has
Or
been
there's
so many
consequences.
times, Adam, where I have told parents, I refuse to be the bad guy in this situation. This is a parent thing. So, hey, kid, if I were you, I'd listen to my mom or my dad. That's the best I can do for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll pull the parent aside and be like, don't ever put us in a position like this again. This is not a police situation.
We were
If
not
your
needed.
kid is flipping out
But you're indoctrinating your kids
to hate the police,
To hate the police.
no doubt. I had a mom.
Or they'd be like, "Look, the police are on my side. You shut the fuck up, mom.
Exactly.
I do what I want."
So that's detrimental to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like I had a mom pull up to me the other day. I was just parked doing some paperwork, and a mom pulled up next to me, and she had a 10-year-old in the back seat, and he was throwing a little tantrum. You know, it was a tantrum, is all it was. And she was like, "Well, I got to go to work," and I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "Well, he doesn't want to go." Well, he's in the car. She's like, "Well, will you talk to him?" And I said, "Well, what do you want me to tell him?" Because I don't do the whole scare the kid thing. I tell the parents right out, I refuse to do that. I'm not going to be that guy. You got the wrong policeman to do that.
Yeah, you're
And
there
most-
to protect them.
Absolutely. Most officers these days are wise to that, and they go, nope, not playing that game. This is clearly something that's taken 10 years to develop. I can't fix it in 3 minutes of yelling at your kid through the car window. I won't do it. Now, I'll encourage your kid to be good for the right reasons, and I did. And I had a conversation with this young man, but it was all one-sided, and it was me just trying to get him to stop crying and listen for a moment. But guaranteed when they got 2 blocks away,
You started up again.
no doubt, because I'm not going to reinforce hey, if you don't do what mommy tells you to do, I'm going to call the police and they're going to make you. That's not the way it works. That's not what being a parent is. 100%. You don't think there was times, and I know you guys is the same, wanted to be able to call somebody because my kid wasn't doing what I want him to do, right?
Yeah, I call Adam.
I was actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say proudly here. It's never been a thought in my brain.
I just call you.
just the frustration. And listen, I don't want to make
This
it
is
sound
very
like
true.
I put him on speakerphone. I'm like, here's your dad. You done fucked up.
right.
You know, well,
That's what I mean, like that.
for
Yeah.
sure. No, what the problem is with the consistency of parents.
Yes.
There's no consistency with
Right.
parents. Draw a line in the sand, and if my kids lick, touch, stare, kick over, skip over, trip
There's
over
the consequence.
line, it's the same harshness.
Yes.
I may be a prick, but I'm always the same
The
prick.
same, right.
And if you're on this side of the line, I'm Disney dad.
No doubt.
We're going to Disney,
Man,
and we're going to
you
give
know
all
how-
of our money to those Satanists.
I've heard that from Melissa so many times. Disney dad, here we go.
Well,
but that's because
there's a difference of
There
what
is.
side. But you know what? If you're consistent, you can't be Disney dad. And then as soon, it's like having a dog.
Right.
You wound up the dog. You get it all crazy.
And then you get
all of a
mad
sudden,
at it.
Stop. You're overreacting, and the dog's like, I thought we
I
were
thought we were
playing
playing.
around.
Right. Yeah.
You know. So the other hands that the school really showed themselves, and the problem with the pandemic is we had these little boxes where this Chromebook was a look into all of our homes.
Yeah.
And I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm talking about the teachers were at home watching their students in
Absolutely.
their house.
Yeah.
Parents were doing drugs behind them.
Yep.
Parents were having sex behind
Yeah.
them. They were being beaten on
Or
the
you hear
cameras.
them like screaming and being
Screaming,
loud.
yeah, because
so
no
the kid
parent, even us, we were not qualified to teach our kids the online learning world.
Yeah, Nora had a moment where we were all like, we all three had COVID, and she like told the teacher she doesn't get breakfast.
And you're like,
We're dying upstairs. I'm like, we do give you breakfast.
yes, we feed our kids.
Well,
Literally, we're all dying right now.
The point is that she was young, right? She just started kindergarten. It was her first year of school.
Right.
She gets this new world to her, and then they rip it from her.
Yep.
And she has to do it on a box.
How confusing, man.
Dude, I remember one night we came home, and the PTSD that our kids are going to suffer. We
Seriously.
don't know the damage that it really has caused.
Everyone.
Yes, but I'm talking about these little
But
kids.
for sure, the kids, no
Yes.
doubt.
So one night we came home, we were running around.
Don't
just-
forget that, because that's going to totally play
Sure,
into
sure.
where we're going. Yeah.
Dude, we run around all day, messing around, and then when we got home, I'm like, crap, we didn't even eat dinner. None of us
Right.
were even really hungry.
Yeah.
So I was like, just grab a Lunchable, guys, out of the fridge. The next day, the teacher called us. Nora had a really, really rough day. She broke down in school, and we're like, what's going on with you? Well, what happened was is that she had a Lunchable, and she had PTSD from having a Lunchable for dinner.
Yeah.
From the month I almost died having COVID. I mean, I literally,
Yeah.
so I'm shocked I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
She had a Lunchable, and it made her remember the moment Dad almost died on the couch.
Right.
And the next day when we were all sick, she had COVID, but she was fucking fine.
She had no fever.
No,
nothing.
yeah.
and which thank God.
Sure.
But that
I
Lunchable
tested
spun
positive
her out.
once for that too, and it's same. No symptoms.
I had it 3 times, and it sucked every
Yeah,
three,
really?
all 3 times. So, okay, so you're looking at this box, right? The mental health and the crisisness. I don't even want to talk about the porn that is online right now.
Oh, dude.
To a degree, more than what I'll say right now. I have bet clients their entire day of tattoo wage, which I'm not a cheap artist.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Sure.
I have bet them straight up. I'm like, I bet you $1 million right now, or at least this session, I will tattoo you all day today for free. If you don't get on Pornhub.com right now, and there's not one family video on that first page.
First page.
No
doubt.
And not once have I ever had
Been
to give
wrong.
someone a free tattoo.
No shit.
And
How
I'll tell-
fucked up is that, bro?
Well, how fucked up is it that it came right after the pandemic, where we're all stuck in the house with our
right.
family?
Yeah.
Freud was on to something.
shit.
So you have an extreme rise of sexual abuse,
Yep.
physical abuse, verbal abuse. Sometimes these kids, and I really want people to like open their eyes and look at this. So, and even today on a global, massive, disgusting scale, sometimes the only break these kids get from being mentally touched, physically touched,
Yeah.
fed.
You're
Sometimes
right.
the only meal they eat during the whole life of their day is school.
Yep.
That's the only break they get. I
sure.
knew tons of friends in school
Yep.
that, God hope they're okay now.
Right.
That never had clean clothes, never got bathed, always had bruises.
Yep.
We used to give them extra food at lunch because they didn't have food at home.
Yeah.
and their only release from this horrible world they live
was
in.
the 8 hours they got to spend
Boom.
at school.
And all those dudes fell in the drugs, became bullies,
For sure.
shot up places,
Yep.
like all of them.
Yep.
And it's disgusting, the mental illness that it took from that. And then on the flip side, the last little rant I'll make about what schools really showed their hand was, because what? There were 3 types of schools, right? And one type of school was just to teach people that, how was that said? Where basically for factory workers,
Yeah, be a cog in the machine.
it was
man.
a cog in the machine. So going to school was just to get you to be consistent with sitting in one area and doing one thing.
Yeah.
Even how we organize our schoolrooms
Yep.
is for the machine because we
Right.
couldn't have child labor. So let's do this instead to prepare us for labor.
Yeah.
We work 50 years of our life doing jobs we hate for 10 years of things we want to do. You only live once.
Right.
What school showed everybody during the pandemic, and most importantly, my son.
Oh, I was like, I thought that was where it was going. I was like, when?
Yeah.
It's like, when? Okay.
Sorry.
Nope.
Well, I'm passionate about it. It really
For sure,
pisses me
brother.
off.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why we're not screaming about this.
Yep.
All this other crap that we're complaining about online right now. Left, right, black, white, gay, straight.
Seriously makes
dude,
no bit of
who
difference.
cares
No
about
shit.
any of that
They,
stuff?
them, whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
It's they want us to be separated. Well, you know what? Let's all
That's
get
that's
together
it.
and be angry right now over they fucking ruined our lives.
We failed our kids.
Well, we failed ourselves. We
No
failed
shit.
everybody.
But
failed.
we are failing the kids at such an epic proportion with the COVID, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make it sound like our individual school districts aren't trying to cope. They were under the
they
same
are.
bullshit
Yes.
mandates that came down from
Thank
people.
you. Because I'm in no way am I talking
exactly.
any crap.
And I know you're
on
not,
any
but I want to
district.
make sure people understood
No, I
that.
like that because people are going to take
Like we're complaining about schools.
Well,
but
they're
that's
going to
not
take a
it.
3-second clip from this and post it
Right,
on TikTok,
right.
and I'm going to be forever yelled at.
Oh, me too, man. No
you know
doubt.
what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
But
'cause-
I stand by what I'm saying.
right.
I'm completely sober. I stand exactly
Yeah.
by what I'm saying.
Yep.
And this is something that I am flabbergasted. The same people that screamed at us for not wearing masks, which I wore a mask because I respect humans.
Yep.
Are
And
the
I wash
same-
my hands.
Yeah, well,
like crazy, like I always do anyways.
Thank God, right? But the
mean,
same
damn.
people that were yelling at us for not following the regulations are silent as hell now.
So
Back to the school stuff, right?
Where Christian learned that
Is that school
where he got fucked up at.
is where thank you. Whereas where school soapbox.
He did what he said. He's like, I hate school because during COVID, I could get on my computer and do all of my school day's work in like an hour,
Yeah, right.
2
Yeah.
hours.
Yep.
So
And
why are they
then-
wasting my entire day now with drama and being bullied?
I've had the same conversation with Kieran, and my explanation, and I hope it's close to what your guys' was, is because the social interaction that you learn in that setting is something that will carry you through the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're learning how to socialize,
Yes.
and you're meeting people. You're learning about them, and you're also learning about yourself.
Yeah, but if
about
the
what
rest
you're
of-
willing to put up with or not.
Yes, man, yes. And if the rest of your life is lived through this and talking to a screen, you cut out emotion 100% because I won't show my real emotion to this thing because I only need to do it for a 15-second clip or whatever, and then I can shut it off and then I can cry.
Well, but you also get to carefully choose
Exactly.
how you
How you
portray
present.
yourself.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
I've talked about it 1,000 times, but there's 7 billion people. There's 7 billion Jeremys.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you only show people the one part of Jeremy you want to show them.
Exactly.
No, it's not real.
Right.
Playing with people, your friend, hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
Well, we're all playing Xbox tonight. We're all in our own rooms
Okay.
talking on Xbox. That's not the same thing as smelling each other's ass.
No doubt. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I
Being in the
remember-
locker room.
Dude, I remember punching my friends for blowing ass. Like I always
Right.
hated that shit.
Yeah.
Stop drinking all the Mountain Dew.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, where is that? No, it's really killed it. But
that's a great point though, man. I mean, like that is that social interaction that kids miss out. This generation is missing out on those kind of interactions because it shows them how to work with others, man. Like
Yeah.
it's more than just about that self-centered ego.
well, you also got the fight or flight, man. You got the situation where, the one thing to add to why we tell Christian school is important.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could homeschool them.
Sure.
I'm just not qualified enough to do
Same.
it for them.
I don't have the patience.
Well, that too. I
I
mean,
don't have patience or time.
qualified,
I mean,
which means all of the above.
right? Yeah.
So
Agreed.
I'm just not. I draw on people. So like, you know, the flip side of it all is like, dude, I'm sorry that schools were set up like factories.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the world is set up like a factory.
Right.
You're going to have to get a job.
going
Inflation's
to have to-
happening.
yep.
We are heading towards a recession.
You have to be
Another
able to
one
take care
again,
of
which is about a
yourself.
year and a half, 2 years normal for us to crack the recession.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, we'll probably be on the upswing by the time he gets out of school. And by the time
Hopefully.
she gets out of school.
Yeah.
Regardless, we're going to have to eat that. He's going to have another recession in his life. It's about what, every 8 years we
Yep.
have one or
Yep.
whatever. You got to know how to survive in today's world. You got to live by the laws of the land in order to live in the land.
Exactly.
You know, you don't own anything in America.
person that
I
doesn't-
tell him that
A
all
person
the
that
time.
doesn't work won't eat.
Right.
And
Or
our government
I was gonna
wants
say-
to make people think that that's not the case, just so that they can make them.
because you have other people working harder, right?
Yeah. so they can draw them in and make them be a part of the machine. Like, well, man, I can't really argue with them. They're giving me everything, so
Boom.
I've lost myself. Mm-hmm. The self just it feels like they want to work the self out.
Sure.
Of the program completely. And I mean,
Well, that's
if
like
you
the
look at
same
it
way
from
they
the,
kill creativity.
yeah, from 1,000 feet point of view looking down, you know, I mean, of course, why wouldn't you want that if you're the person pulling the strings? Because it's less chaos down there. But again,
Well, see, we're product, right?
sure,
And
dude, more than ever.
Yeah, we're product, and our kids are now product. Our kids are more valuable product than we are.
They certainly are because they have a
are
longer
younger.
lifespan,
exactly.
for sure.
So they're definitely doing this. So we're indoctrinating these kids to not only work in the cog, because like school is organized. The good part about it is,
Mm-hmm.
good and bad part about it is, it's forcing you to, here's a task at hand. Here's the time frame the task must be done. You put it in here, there's consequences.
Yep.
Consequences now is you get a bad grade, you may have to redo things, whatever.
Sure.
Detentions if you don't follow rules. Later on in life, you don't eat. You can't live anywhere if you don't pay your bills.
Right.
You know, I was like, that's why ultimately,
That used to be though,
you don't think it is anymore?
I mean, to a certain degree,
I mean, I know
there
that
are
my
so
life
many-
lives like that.
same.
So-
like, I feel like if I just quit my job tomorrow,
We're
and Melissa
losing
didn't,
this house.
we're guaranteed. Like, things are going to change for us dramatically. But think about it from a kid's perspective, who they already are on government aid, and parents don't work, and like
See, it's sad.
it is very
It's
sad,
sad
man.
because there's
those are the kids that
perspectives.
I want to reach, because I want to bring them up out of that and go, look, I'm not ragging on your parents, man. I'm not. I don't know what got them to this situation, but you get to make a choice. You have your entire life ahead of you still. You still get to make the choices whether or not you want to follow and do your schoolwork. You want to behave. You want to treat other people with kindness and respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will pull you out of this situation that you find yourself in right now, or that you don't even know any different from, but you feel like it's not good. You don't
Well,
like
you don't have to
yourself.
be a product of your environment.
And that's the easiest way to put it, man.
You know?
But trying to explain that concept to a kid that doesn't know any different, brother, I have talked to myself in complete circles. It's like talking.
On this podcast?
Well, yeah, I do that all the time. But I mean, trying to teach a foreign language to somebody in 1 hour, it's impossible. You can't change someone's reality. Going back to the mental health thing, if someone believes their reality is whatever, you know, we've tried the whole, yeah, man, I get it, but that's not the way it is. That doesn't mean that person doesn't still perceive it like that.
Sure.
You know, so I take that same approach when I'm dealing with especially young kids who have they don't have the mental capacity or ability to even critically think. And it's like, okay, let me try to break this down for you the simplest I can. I know that this isn't like the rules and things that they have you expected for you to follow at school aren't like they are at home, but it's less chaotic. And if you do these certain things here, you are guaranteed to get this, right? You're guaranteed a smooth day if you follow instructions and do your work, right? You're guaranteed that at a minimum, unless one of your classmates blows that up, which is out of your control, and you don't have to worry about that. That's not on you you don't have to take that. Like the teacher, that's a situation where a teacher is like their responsibility to, hey, get control back over the classroom and make sure that that's not impacting your ability to learn, right? So, hey, I'm all for that. You know, like when we have a disruptive kid in class, hey, I always apologize to the other students, first of all. Hey, I'm sorry that this was an interruption in your day and this took away from your ability to learn today. But we're going to take care of it the best we can, right? So I'm going to ask all you guys to leave the classroom if Johnny won't. So we take the audience away. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't want to embarrass Johnny, but I don't want to make this worse on you guys. So give us just a few minutes. We'll work it out, get you guys back in here and get everything going. You know, it's an approach. And that helps to, again, bring everything back in for the kids, like a realistic expectation of how to resolve a conflict, right? And I think that's where we're headed, or where we hope to head with this conversation is, you know, bullying and all that stuff really comes down to kids don't know how to resolve conflict anymore. Not because everyone is so worried about liability, right? In everything that we do these days.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, I've even done it on today's podcast.
For sure. And man, listen, and I self-censor nonstop because I'm terrified of what someone will take out of context, and it could really not just hurt me, but hurt my wife, her program, my dad, and his exceptional career as a judge, my brothers and sisters, like my friends. Come on. The liability thing, I think we're getting so hung up on that, we're forgetting how to live real life. And to me, that's the biggest tragedy that this whole thing has brought on. And we can look at it from every perspective that we conspiracy minded and everything. But at the end of the day, we're still left with this tragedy to deal with, right? And I want to be able to give our kids, all of our kids, the ability to resolve conflicts in a peaceful, mature way. And I'll tell you exactly how my first approach to do that is if I've got two kids that from any age, you're talking grade school up through senior and high school, I will bring them into the conference room and make them sit down across from each other at the table. The only other person in the room is me. And I tell them right off the bat, here's the rules. We're not going to touch each other, right? You can tell each other what words are on your mind. I don't care if you curse. If we're talking high school kids,
sure,
that's who I mostly am dealing with this, but you know, age appropriate. High school kids cuss. For anybody out there, I know, right?
What?
I know that could be a shocker, but I'm like, look, if I expect you guys to understand a concept that I'm trying to teach you, then I can let you speak like an adult. And if the words that you need to associate with it are 4 letters, okay, we're not going to attack each other. But you can tell somebody, if you pissed me the fuck off, and here's what you did that did it. Well, that needs to be aired out. And the other thing is, I'm not going to make you guys shake hands before we walk out of this room. You guys don't have to be friends. The only thing that we need to agree on is that this situation that's got us pissed off at each other has been resolved. Now, you can still say, I don't like him or I don't like her. Fine. You can choose to not be friends.
Yeah, you don't have to like each
no
other.
Shit. But we have to agree, hey, we've all got an understanding of what brought this thing to the table and got us to the point where we were ready to fight, or, you know, and in 90% of the time, guys, it's the people on the periphery. It's the kids
Edging
on there.
it on.
Yeah.
Go, fight,
poking
fight,
at
fight.
fucking, hey, she's talking shit about you. You
Yeah.
should fucking pull her hair
Well,
and beat her ass.
there's, the public opinion. It's the same. It's gladiator time.
I don't want
It
to
is.
look like a
Because
punk
again,
bitch.
that's it. Everybody's reputation lives and dies in their 15-second clip. And if there's a fucking video of you getting punked by somebody and that goes out, man, I didn't realize, it took me a while to understand how much that impacts these kids mentally.
I don't let my kids have social media.
No.
For that exact reason.
I finally relented this year and gave Kieran Instagram. That's it.
Our son doesn't have that.
No. And look, man, that was because
we were
I was
discussing that he
getting
could have
beat
Google
down.
when he gets his driver's license.
Right?
Yeah, I was
Good
like,
for you guys.
You get your license.
Seriously, good for you.
Well, and like, here's the bad thing: is that bullying. It's a multiple swing thing.
It is.
So I've talked to my friend Curtis about this a couple times. I probably wouldn't be the artist I am right now if I wasn't bullied.
Sure.
And I think there's a healthy side to having bullies.
Well, let's make sure we're calling the right thing, though, because being bullied is one thing. having the normal shit that we grew up with of getting picked on or getting jacked with.
But is that not the definition of what bullying is now?
Nowadays it's different. You
It
get
is.
like bullies is like
Well,
threats even.
Right.
Sure. No,
on
I'm
your
talking.
life.
There's definitely extremes, but I'm talking about like, I don't know, man. I just think kids are softer,
I don't disagree.
I do think that.
and so the
we made
things
them that
we
way.
well for sure. I mean, statistically speaking, testosterone goes lower every generation there is.
Yep.
My dad has more than I do. His dad had more than he did.
Yep.
My great granddad had more. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I do believe in the inspiration. The good thing is for artists everywhere, there's no getting rid of it. But we do need to stop the wheel. But is it too late to stop the internet wheel? One of the main
No.
reasons
It's gone, dude.
Well,
Yeah.
one reason I want to have CJ not have social media is that he is fucking funny. Christian is one of the funniest kids I think I've ever met. I tell him all the time, you need to be the next stand-up comedian, and I will quit everything I do and
pour it
just
into it.
pour you into this world
Yeah.
if you ever want to go that route, because he makes me laugh harder than anyone ever.
That's awesome.
But you're 15. You post that same joke you think is so funny today. The internet is
Non-forgiving.
forever.
Exactly.
It's forever. You can
And-
delete it, but
Yep.
it's still
And you
forever.
think about like what it was like when we were growing up to now, and
People
then
get canceled for
what it will
jokes
be
on Twitter
like,
5 years ago.
and so what it will be like when
They
he's
had no
older. Like,
idea.
what is the new?
What's going to be
fucking-
the thing then?
Well,
Yeah.
by the time I
Right.
made that joke, it was socially acceptable to say that joke.
Yes.
But
And
that's
now
not the
it's
standard they judge it by.
Right. And it
Yes.
goes down to that same thing. It's like,
Exactly.
well, wasn't this you when you were 12 years old?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
So,
still you, right?
You had that thought back then, and we're going to hold you accountable for it now.
And it's like, how do you protect your kids from
Yes.
that? Like,
You can't.
I talked to my client today. Actually, when I was tattooing, we talked, which was weird that we were going to come on here. And his nephew sent a private part photo. He was talking to this gal on like one of the chat rooms or something like
Right.
that. And she's like, I think you're really attractive. Do you want to see pictures of me? And he's like,
Oh, yeah?
14 years
I'm
old.
14, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And he goes, well, send me a picture of you first. So he sends a little crotch shot. I'm trying to be appropriate. A
Right.
little, after we've been inappropriate.
Well, you're talking about children here.
Yes, exactly. To
There's
the-
a line.
for sure.
There is a line.
And
That's
I'm not
where we
licking,
draw
kissing,
it.
Yep.
tripping, or falling over that line. No, so he sent a photo to this gal, and then it was like, "Psych, I'm a grown man."
Yeah.
And if you don't send me $300 right now, I'm sending it to your friends.
I'm
your
telling you, I've
father.
had a police officer whose son had that I work with, same exact thing happened to him, right? And he's like, hey, mom, dad,
This happened.
yeah, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, you better be letting grandma know that they're getting ready to get this picture because we ain't sending these people this
Well,
money.
no. What I told him to do is I was like, you have him write back that guy and be like, I'm 14 years old. You're in possession of child pornography.
Yeah, right.
Kabloom. We're both going down.
No
you know?
doubt.
No, but it's a dangerous world because as a little horny kid,
Dude, you
you're
have
not
no fucking clue.
You know what I mean?
None.
You have 10 years before your brain's fully developed at that age.
And
And
no
you're
one's gonna-
dealing with technology that people have taken lifetimes to develop
Yes.
with purposes in it that we still don't understand.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, from a crotch shot of a child, like yes, that would be traumatizing for that boy. But like, that's all you're seeing. Like, they're not gonna.
Right, your face isn't in it.
Yeah,
But you
I
know it's
know.
you.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
opinion that you know it's you and the
It
fact that
affects your
this is
psyche.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what are people going to see? Maybe I'm not equipped. Maybe I.
Right. Yeah. How's this
You're
viral
gonna
one?
see.
down?
You're gonna see the photo of yourself, but no one's gonna know that it's you, and then
I'm
you're
a-
gonna be reading the comments on it if it's like.
The
I'm gonna tell
problem
you
is
right
with
now.
those deals though, the people that really do this, those ransom people, they record the chat session, the whole video thing. So they'll get a kid to do this kind of stuff and then they'll ransom them like that. And man, those are just horrible situations.
I had this happen
used
to me.
Did you?
Did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. It was so funny. I got like this random text message. It was like or not text message, email, and it was like it almost looked like an email that I sent to myself, right? And it was all like, I've hacked your phone and I've been hacked. It's been hacked for like a while now. Like, I'm just letting you know, but that you should really change all your passwords. Like, I was able to get into this and that, and this and that, and then they're like, oh, and by the way, like, I could see through your camera too. I've been seeing like the porn and shit. You're like, I know you're O-face and you're into some really kinky shit.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna like, so if you don't send me this amount of money, I'm gonna blast that online. I'm like,
And that's
what kinky fucking shit? I don't like.
Well, and that's how they
like,
trick.
I was
these
like,
kids.
go ahead.
Yeah.
If you have it, go ahead, post it. Like, if I did anything like that, I wouldn't be ashamed by it.
How old were you?
This was like when we were living here. Like, it totally blew my mind until like it got
Did you
brought
tell
up.
me about that?
I might have. I don't remember.
I don't think you did.
Yeah.
It was.
This
I was just like, do it.
What other secrets you got?
One of the scams.
All of them. But it was very interesting. I was like,
One of the
if you
scams
didn't
that
know,
they do,
you
yeah.
would think.
Sure.
Like,
One of the scams that they do is they get people. It's no different than the way they target the elderly people or anyone else. It's, hey, I know all this stuff. It's like a psychic, right? And they tell you all this shit that's vaguely true, and you're like, oh fuck. And then they'll say, send me a picture of your boobs, or I'm putting all this out there. And you're like, damn, if that's all I got to do, all right, snap, there you go.
but then it's
And
like,
then it's
you
just-
should already have a picture of my boobs.
Well,
and
now it's
you
more,
You know.
and then they want more.
Exactly.
And you
And-
get buried in it.
For sure. It's man, it's
People
technology.
suck, dude.
They do.
People
and they use
suck.
this. So I wanted to tell you, there's a class that I used to teach for all of the incoming freshmen. We would break these kids up for like the first 8 weeks of school. Every Thursday, they would go for like 30 minutes to different people, right? And I taught a class about internet safety. And it was straight up, like my messages were, look, never at this age, under any circumstances, don't even take a picture of yourself that you don't intend to send to anyone. Because your phone gets hacked and it doesn't even matter. Once you take that picture, it's in the cloud, it's gone, and it's there forever.
Internet is forever.
And so
Man.
I always have
That's
this
why I don't
conversation.
send you nudes, bro.
Well, I'm cool with
She
it.
just sends them to me, man. Because
cool with that.
He's like, send me nudes, so I'll send him
She's
nude
like,
lipsticks.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I just want to say thank you, Melissa.
yeah, right.
Just
Fair is fair, dude. Fair is fair.
extremely inappropriate.
She knows we love you, babe, collectively.
But I love you more, apparently, because I'm not cheating on you with Jackie.
Well,
Apparently,
I
you
never
are.
touch my wife.
Oh, okay. I never touch her.
the speech that I give the kids, like I said, don't take the pictures; they're there forever. But when I've got these kids, especially one-on-one, because my office door is always open for the kids whenever I'm at the school, right? And I get phone calls. I got one today from another officer who said, hey, I've got a family member, one of the kids at school that's experiencing some problems. They want to talk to you. Can I give them your phone number? Yeah, no doubt. Either do that or I'll talk to them tomorrow, whatever. My message is this. You guys are growing up in a time so differently than me or any generation previous, and probably every generation had this similar conversation, but the rate at which technology has grown on us is so exponentially bigger that I tell these kids this. I made tons of mistakes growing up. I make mistakes every day still, right? We're human. The difference is when I was a kid, it wasn't recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So forgive and forget was still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can forgive now, but they will never forget because we record all of our transgressions, all of our good and bad. It all gets recorded. So that's even more of a reason to teach our kids now more than ever to be good people and have a strong moral foundation. Because
not just pretend to be good.
exactly. Don't play to the camera.
Exactly.
Be a good person because you're a good person.
Exactly. That goes to my rant I had last week or the other podcast where I was like, my number one thing I can't deal with nowadays, I'm having a problem dealing
Fake
with.
people, man.
Well, I can't deal with you just saying things to make it feel better.
Sure.
Stop saying things to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Don't just pretend to be a good kid.
There's real feeling, good feeling, and really being a good person.
There really is.
Yeah.
I would argue the best feeling.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
trueness, being truthful.
Man, some of the most impactful conversations have come for me in my life experience from people that I've never met before, ever, not one time. And it's a human interaction that we have that is just straight genuine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like two people that, hey, I can empathize with the shit you're going through right now. I don't know what it's like because I've never been through it, but I can see how fucked up it's making your life. How can I help? I'm not taking you to jail. That's not my intention. Never. I had a conversation with Scott Ferguson the other day. He's running for mayor in Shelbyville.
Little fun fact for those listening: Scott Ferguson was actually my landlord
Yeah.
at the Rue Morgue.
Yep.
For the first Rue Morgue.
Yep.
At Shelbyville. Go ahead.
And Scott he wanted to know what are we doing as the police to help the mental health situation, and how can a new mayor bring in new policies to help make it easier or better for police and the community, right? So we had long time conversation about this, and I was thrilled to be able to tell somebody that really cared and wanted to know what they could do to make it better for everybody, not just for the cops and not just for the people, literally for all of us to work together. You know, and it's just having those moments and letting, like, dude, my arrest stats are shit. Like, I'll just tell you straight up. If you judged my career based on the past 5 years of how many people I took to jail, I look like the worst cop on paper, right? But if you took into account the number of people that I helped that are having mental health crisis, I would say that
You're
there's probably
doing
nobody close.
pretty great.
Yeah, like that's where I focus my energy, because I feel like I personally get way more satisfaction out of it, but I see the impact it has on not just the person I'm dealing with, man, but their families and then the people that surround them, and it just builds out like that.
And then you're the one that they trust, and
No shit.
they probably would request to talk to you over somebody else.
Dude, I get phone calls all the time on. Thank God they got us work cell phones. You know what I mean? Because I was very reluctant to give my personal number out to people.
Hell, I don't even do that.
Exactly. And now my work phone, I mean, it was always on 24/7 because that's our policy, and I'm on call for the SWAT team. But man, I get text all day long, 24/7. And sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest, it's overwhelming sometimes, you know. My goal is to get all of our officers trained in CIT, which is crisis intervention, right? There's, I think, maybe 4 or 5 of us on the department right now that have that training. And it's a week-long, 40-hour school that you go to. And I've got the commitment from our chief to be able to do basically 25% of our department this year. And then hopefully with the new chief next year, I can build on that until I want every officer schooled in CIT.
That would be amazing.
It really would be.
Awesome.
And it should be something, quite honest, the academy should be teaching these guys. They should be CIT certified when they roll out of the academy. But I understand to a degree they need to get their feet wet and have some experience.
You're also undertaking a huge mental change.
Seriously.
You know, like we talked
It's
about
a
earlier,
perception,
my favorite wordage would be mental armor.
Yeah.
You're learning how to build your own suit.
No doubt.
It's a lot to add
It is.
to that.
And you have to have a foundation before you can just jump right into that, because they're going to look at a brand new 22-year-old police officer who's trying to give them life experience to a 45-year-old guy who is fighting with his wife, right? Who this officer may have never been married, have kids, whatever. And it's like, you're going to fucking try to tell me how to do X, Y, Z. So I understand why it's usually your guys that have been on a little longer that are the CIT guys. Not always, right? Sometimes you just have people that are just good communicators, you know, and they're good at that. And they're genuine with people, and they're compassionate. And compassion, man, is key. Because you guys know, if I'm lying to you about shit, you can spot it that quick, right? Like, you can tell.
I don't know. I kind of feel like you've been lying to me all night.
Whatever.
I mean, does my wife really send you nudes?
No.
See?
She does not.
Right there. Hey, let's do another Jack's Facts.
Another one?
Yeah, this is a longer podcast.
Facts me up.
Okay.
It's time for Jack's Facts.
In the time that it took me to say this, around 50,000 of my cells have died and been replaced with new ones. Same with you. You will produce enough saliva in your lifetime to fill 2 pools. That's wild. Would you like to go swimming in those pools? I wouldn't, but you probably do, you freak. By the age of 60, people lose half of their taste buds. But here's another little fun fact about that. Girls have more taste buds than dudes. So, in all honesty, you dudes are the real losers there. Like, have fun eating when you get old. I'm pretty sure I'm going to still enjoy it. And that's Jack's Facts.
Thanks for those facts, Jackie. Those were amazing.
You mean the one fact that I did there?
Well, you know, all of them.
Oh, yeah, all as a whole, all the facts.
That's what I'm talking
right?
about.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy all of your facts.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a fact.
Tis.
I Googled knowing what we were going to talk about tonight, just a couple of things right off the bat. And just simple Google searches will tell you everything you need to know as far as a good understanding of statistics and percentages of school bullying. Mental health, which I will let you take the reins on this since you are the guy. Mental health is huge. It's not really, from my personal experience, it's not really being on a major scale respected, understood, getting its claim. There's a lot of things I think in society that we have other than bullying even where it's clearly mental health. And that word is so offensive to people.
And also, like, a lot of people from what I see is, like, you talk about, like, mental health issues. A lot of people are like, oh, that's really fucked up. I'm really sorry. You know, like, that sucks that you go through that. And then other ones like, oh, everyone has a mental health issue these days. Like,
Right.
oh, get over it.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
it's sad because, I mean, yeah, your depression, that's mental health.
Sure.
You know,
But then you go,
you've got
everyone
anxiety.
has depression.
well.
Everyone,
That's-
yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like blanking. Then everyone feels isolated, which I'm going to read a couple of these to kind of kick this off. And then I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions that I have laid out so we can actually get, I don't want to do to you not what I did, but what we did as a whole when Dad was on.
Yeah.
You know, we talk and it's fun and that's the best part about this, but I really want to nail in boom, 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 and boom.
Yeah.
And that way we don't leave here tonight going,
There's
Left
so
something
much.
out.
I
there's
didn't
so much
say
more.
this
Right.
because I know that happened with Dad
Yeah.
both times. So, you know, I just typed in why do some kids dislike school? And it said the most common reasons kids hate school range from anxiety and learning difficulties to bullying.
Yeah.
I mean, right off the bat, just a simple Google search will let you know.
Right.
You know, just how it kind of like goes into it all, like the types of bullying here. Students aged from 12 to 18, which both of our kids, well, Christian and, you know, fall into it. Nora's not quite there yet.
I would argue that all of the kids, I think this definition is going to be expanded to include all of our kids, man.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Because our kids, the expectation is, and we're treating our kids more and more mature than they actually are, because that's the way the world is going now. And it's
Well, yeah,
like,
grow
hey,
up,
pick
kid.
up the pace, man. Yeah.
Yep, grow up,
so
kid.
we're constantly trying to get them to hurry up and learn this so that you can move on to the next task, whatever it is. And so learn this message and deal with it. It's kind of like I'm not saying that's how I deal as a parent. I'm saying the society's kind of overall like, hey, you're going to get left behind if you don't make some progress.
And when
here.
you come to school, especially,
Right.
hey, we have funding to worry about.
Right.
And if you bomb this
Oh my
test, we're
gosh,
not going to get,
man.
which I don't want to get into that, but
Yeah.
that's still the pressure.
So yeah, that's a pressure coming from teachers, definitely,
Yes.
which definitely relates into the kids and how they perceive the teaching,
Right.
and interpret the messages, no doubt.
So I guess I should say this before I read these. This is what these statistics are saying. I disagree pretty hardcore with a lot of these numbers. And that's what I said. This says 12 to 18 is what these percentages are going to come from. Man, I look at it a lot like women who report abuse. The number is low.
Oh, for sure.
Low. And I feel like the same way. Well, kids that report are this. Well, those are the kids that are reporting.
And those are the
You know
kids
what I mean?
who understand what abuse is.
Right.
How old are you before you even understand you're being abused?
Right. Exactly. So this says here, it says being subject to rumors or lies. That's about 13.4.
That was my bullying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah.
That's mainly, I would say that one falls a lot for female.
That's a broad.
for
Yeah.
sure.
No doubt.
Being made fun of, called names, or insulted.
Sure.
I was stoner boner forever.
I was jack-o'-lantern.
Sorry, I think I said that to you the other
You
day.
do. You bullies me.
Pushed, shoved, tripped. Oh, I'm sorry. The being made fun of, name calls, or insulted is 13%. Pushed, shoved, tripped, and spit on is about 5.3%. The leaving out, or I would say left out, that's kind of weird they say that. The exclusion That's about 5.2. That
No,
one
I know.
I would
Oh,
argue
be
that's
way
higher. It's way higher.
Yeah.
I know
Yes.
Nora deals with that, or
Yes.
she used to.
Yep.
Yeah,
She would cry about that.
Kids didn't
Yep.
want to play
Same.
with me.
Yeah.
Kids, I mean, I felt that way. I felt very
Sure.
alone.
Sure.
Especially when you don't think people relate because people aren't relating.
No doubt.
And then you add that now today, like we were talking about earlier, where like kids, we're not expressing ourselves. We're only trying to show the perfect side of our lives on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, well, so everyone else is happy at the beach and I'm here miserable.
Yeah, brother. I was
Why
the
do you get
judge's
to go on
kid.
vacation?
Yeah, I was the judge's kid, and everybody expected my life was like royalty, and it was. I grew up fortunate, no doubt. Right, I am blessed in every way, shape, and form for the family that I was born into, no doubt. But other people, I feel like other people's expectation was way different than what my actual life was.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always the judge's kid, and to this day, are you Charlie's son? You judge's boy? Yeah, of course I am. Yeah. And now it's different. Now I'm way proud to say absolutely, right? Whereas used to it was like, yes, like, I mean, really, because like that was my identity. But I'm like, that's what people know me. Like, so
yeah,
I
like they probably
fought hard.
excluded you from like hanging
Definitely.
out
Oh
because
my
like he'll
gosh.
tell it's
Exactly.
dad and
Or your dad's got people watching you. So sorry, dude, we'd love to have you hang out, but
yeah.
the cops, you got too much heat, like,
5-0.
yeah.
Mind
Nobody
readers.
wants the cops around.
I would almost think it like for me, I'd be like, yeah, let's hang out. We're friends.
Right.
You could get me out of trouble.
And I did have some friends that were like, hey, let's join them or bring them into the fold. That way we can kind of shield ourselves. But yeah, I digress.
Sorry.
You're such a criminal.
I am, and I was.
You're such a little tiny little monster. Threatened with harm is 3.9%. Others tried to make them do things they did not want to do, which I thought was very interesting for this list.
It's a pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 1.9, which I would also argue is
Way
way
higher.
Yeah,
way
because
higher, dude.
you'd be
because of
pressured.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
This
Yes.
thing changes everything.
Well, yeah. So then they talked about cyberbullying, which we've been alluding to this entire time, which I would argue is probably the
I think that
uppermost
to me,
percentage of what bullying is now,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
Because even bullying in person, did you see on my TikTok?
I think it's
Johnny did this and that.
I think it's a lot of that combined with the exclusion. Mm-hmm. That to me is
Well, we can ruin you in a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're a young person, the only thing that you have, tangible thing that you have to you is your reputation. I have this conversation with Kieran all the time. Right now is a great example. We're doing some renovations at home, and she has a lot of input on how she wants things to be. And they're not necessarily the same things that me and her mom want. And so I find myself a lot of times telling her the same message, not the same words that I used to hate getting from my parents was because I said so. I always hated that because I'm like, okay, you said so, but give me a better explanation. And I find myself telling her, because it's my house, and when you have your own house, you can pick whatever shit you want. You familiar with this?
Well, we're great friends because we are so similar.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, we laugh about it every time I'm
Absolutely.
tattooing we're hanging out.
And because we
We'll
finish
finish
each other's
sandwiches.
sentences,
Oh,
maybe sandwiches too.
Definitely.
yeah.
But now
I thought I was going to start dating him. Then you could send your nudes to Melissa.
I don't.
I mean,
Yes,
if you want.
you wanted a collection of lipsticks.
Yes. No, man. It's like that. It's that perception as a young person, and I try to remind myself in those moments. But it's also like, man, just understand. I don't want fucking pink walls, right? I want this wall to be this color, and this is just what we're doing.
Like, yeah, you can have that shit in your room.
And we did. We let her do that. My mom and dad came over, and she painted her room purple, like a
Good
really
color.
soft, but a really soft one. A really
Not
soft
so good
purple.
color. You're
A
almost
really
there.
girly, soft purple. And I was like, Kieran, this is your room. I want you to feel home in your
It's
room.
your space,
Yeah,
your
for sure.
world.
Make it however cool or not. What I would consider cool is you want,
Right.
because it's not mine. You do have this. And I want her to understand that that's cool, right? I didn't get any say on what color my room was when I was a kid. My parents have been like, shut up, go outside.
Sure.
I was good with that, right? But also, I was one of 5. My daughter is one of 1. So there's a big difference. And Kieran, honey, I am sorry that I didn't give you any siblings.
Well,
Like,
you're gonna let her
truly.
watch this episode?
Man,
You say the
Yeah,
F word
yeah.
a lot.
yeah, well,
You are a sailor.
I-
I don't
I
cuss
am,
at all,
dude.
but you,
shit.
there you are again. He can't help himself.
I
Earmuffs.
can't, folks, right? Yeah. Well, she's heard enough stories of me coming home and witnessed enough of my mood swings to where, unfortunately, she's had to grow up a lot sooner than she should. And this is one of those things that I definitely feel guilt about, man, as a parent. Like, there are times when I'm like, shit, I didn't let her be a child long enough, right? So, like, how I tie this back into school, I also recognize that in other kids that I see, and I'm like, man, you got stuff going on at home, and I may not be there to witness the conversations, but I can see how it shaped you into the situation that's going on today, and help me understand why you feel like you're being bullied. Tell me about it. Let's work it out. All right. And to kind of get back into that, one of the core components is that kind of unrelenting, that nonstop, unwanted, the abuse, right? Because they feel this is abuse to them. It may not leave a scar or a bruise that you can see, but it's tearing them up.
Mental
inside,
abuse is way worse.
for sure, because it lasts, and there's no way for you to outwardly show it for people to go, hey, are you all right? Without being subjected to opinions.
Well, and even then, you have the isolation where you're like, no one's gonna care
No shit.
anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they've been proven that, right?
Yeah.
So I interviewed Kieran today while we were painting the hallway. I'm like, hey, I want to
Purple?
know. No, we did a it's a lighter green shade of green.
Oh yeah, you told me
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you were.
Yeah. So I interviewed Kieran. I said, hey, you're in 8th grade. What kind of stuff? Tell me about your experience with bullying. First of all, have you been bullied? And the answer, I was thinking, man, it better be no, because by God, if my daughter is being bullied and I don't know about it, I have failed on the biggest level, right?
Or
Or
she knows you and she's not
Afraid.
wanting to. Well, I would not say afraid. I was going to say
Didn't want to
not wanting to
disappoint.
further burden you, knowing
Exactly.
how well you hold your world.
And thank you for bringing that up like that, because I feel like that's one of the failures that I have done is I've tried to put her in or not tried, inadvertently, I've put her in a position to almost have to cope with me coming home and dealing with the rough day I've had and knowing, oh shit, I can tell just by the way Dad walked in the room tonight and he's not talking to anybody.
Okay, but all right. Let me devil's advocate you a little bit,
Yep.
because I deal with this a lot too.
Sure.
I mean, in a very different way.
Yeah, well, you get clients unload on you.
Well, for sure, but in a,
And that takes a serious
it
toll.
does. Well,
No shit.
and not to be all foo-foo-y, but I'm a fucking empath. So you know, I own things. That's why I didn't want to be a
Same.
cop. If I touch it, it's mine now.
Man, I'm with you.
So little things like we have our fatherly guilt, right?
Yep.
I once had a small opportunity, not going to drop any names, but to possibly go on tour and open up with this big band.
Yeah.
And it was a couple months ago, well, I think before we bought this house actually. So it was maybe a while ago.
Yep.
And I set the kids down and everyone, and I already talked to Jackie about it. And I was like, kids, this may happen. If it happens, I'm going to probably be gone for like 3 months. I want to talk to you guys about it first, because if this is going to be any kind of a thing, I won't do it at all.
You're more
right?
important. Yeah.
You know what my kids told me? Dad, you're always gone anyway.
Bam.
You might as well just go. Oh, dude.
I know.
Dude.
I feel you right now.
Lowest father moment of my life.
Right.
Dad, you're gone all the time anyway. We're not really going to notice. Just send us a text. And I'm like,
What you wanted to hear in that moment was,
no, Dad, don't go.
Don't
or,
go.
Or, oh my
we
gosh,
don't
Dad,
want you
you're
to be
so
gone.
awesome.
We don't want to
Let
miss
me-"
you. Right.
Anything other
Yeah.
than you're already gone anyway. And I'm like, in the
Been
cats
there.
and the cradle and the silver
Yeah.
spoon.
Kieran
and I'm like,
sings
"Oh."
that to me, bro.
Well, I sang it to my dad.
We
Yeah.
all three kind of had that.
Yeah.
Like we don't really see you that
Yeah.
much.
Kieran sings that
when
to
we
me.
do, it's like, oh, their kids are going to bed and good night.
Wait to stick that
Hey, I
knife
love you
further in
guys.
me, babe. That's great.
Right.
I'm sorry.
but
I'm
what
with you. I'm
it's
with
not
you,
like
man.
that anymore.
Well, but what? Yeah, no. And actually, that
Yeah.
was where I'm like, I'm working 10 to 6.
Yep.
I own my own shop. What am I doing?
Killing myself
Working
and
till
doing-
late.
yeah,
I
right.
never see my kids. I would go to work at noon, Christian would go to bed at 8. I get home around 9. He'd already be gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see him in the morning because I'd work so late.
Right.
I never saw my kid.
Right.
Nora came around. I'm like, I don't want this. I am established now. CJ didn't get the luxury of me being around like that because I had to make this world for us.
No doubt.
What I'm getting at, not to sit here and toot my own.
No, dude. That's an important piece of this.
Sure.
It really is.
With you, and this is something I had to kind of cope with. They didn't even know that they heard me.
Right.
It wasn't even a thought.
Right.
She is walking into this world, I'm assuming, for you. Sorry to put words in your mouth. Because being a child of an officer, I know where you're coming from on that.
Yeah.
I would cope in my own joking way with Dad. I'd wake up in the morning. It smells like sizzling because it can't be real bacon. You know, and I would say off-color crap
Right.
to him. And
Just to judge the mood.
well, but no, just even then, just to be like, I don't know how to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
The difference is with Dad is that Dad was an officer later on in my life. I knew Dad as a biker. I knew Dad as, you know, if you watch Dad's podcast, you know that Dad was the Forrest Gump of the biker world is what I call him. So I knew Dad intimately before he was an officer.
Right.
So I quickly acclimated with him as he did it. Your daughter's never known anything different.
No.
Therefore, the things that you feel that she has to let go of, I'm betting she doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
This is the way of her life all the time anyway.
Right.
So I would just, as a friend, be like, ease up on your own guilt about that
Yeah.
because I guarantee she just knows the greater good.
Yeah.
You're out there doing what you could do.
That's
and
my
you-
hope, man.
Well, I think she knows. And you are there for her. Plus, she's got her mom, man.
Yeah.
You guys got a double whammy.
Right.
And when everything you both do is so heavy and so this and so that,
That's
even
where
in
I
her own
feel-
isolation, right?
That's where I feel like, man, that sometimes we do her a disservice because she sees us doing all this stuff for other people, and I get it where she could easily feel like, and has verbalized to me sometimes that she's felt like, hey, what about me?
Right.
And rightfully effing so.
But the difference is with you guys, and I know you guys enough to just confidently speak for you guys, is in those moments you guys quickly realize and adapt
No doubt.
and jump.
Right.
You are a human.
For sure.
This whole thing comes into you're not a uniform.
Yes.
We would talk about you being an officer as if that is your entire identity.
Right.
Well, you just showed us how much of a human you are with your child.
Yeah.
All you guys are humans. These things touch you.
Yep.
And much like these kids, oh, you're a kid. Bullying is good. If you're not bullied, you're not going to be an artist. I mean, didn't I say that? Like,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
and the reality of it is, I never had to deal with the cyberbullying crap. I never,
No shit.
you know,
Yeah, that's a huge piece of this, man.
Look-
The fact that it doesn't stop.
So, what did she say when you were interviewing her? If she was bullied or
Yes.
Yeah,
not?
thank you for bringing that
Sorry,
back. So,
thank you.
So
why she's on it.
She said, you know, hey, Dad, first of all, I don't get bullied. And I'm like, good. I would hope not. She said, but, you know, I see other kids that get bullied. And I'm like, okay, well, give me some examples. So I think kids' perception of being bullied is what we used to call being picked on, right? Whereas the state sees bullying as something wholly different. The state calls bullying relentless, overt acts that are unwanted and abusive, right? They're constant and they can be tracked. They're reported. Kids look at it like, hey, you left me out at lunch and you guys are talking secrets about me or whatever. And that causes you to want to exclude me from the group today. I was bullied.
Well, and that is, they're right.
They're
sorry.
not, I'm not saying they're wrong.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Some stat that some dude said in an office that grew up in
Yeah.
a different world than what you're living
Exactly. There's
mean,
there's a disconnect.
Because if you tell them that what they're feeling is just being hazed,
Yeah.
and we just isolated
Hey,
them.
that's a good way to put it, man.
We just bullied them.
no shit.
Their
we
feelings
did.
are-
Yeah. We
But
assisted
that
in the
doesn't
bullying.
fit the definition, sir.
Did you ask
I'm
her
so
other
glad
questions?
I did. So she's told me that you know, I said, well, tell me about the fights and stuff because that's a big thing that comes up, right? I will readily admit there are more in-school fights in the building nowadays than there were when I was a kid.
Majorly.
And I think here's what I have kind of extrapolated from some of this stuff as to why. Again, we're looking for our 15-second video, right? If I can prove on my 15 seconds or whatever that I'm strong enough to stand up to you, Adam, you've been fucking with me and I'm done today. I'm not having it anymore. I'll do it at school because it's a safer place. It's going to get broke up relatively quicker than it is for me and you if we go out in the country and duke it out and one of us doesn't win. Right? That's the way we used to do it. At least when that's what we did.
Yeah, that's what we did too.
We didn't go in the country. We went to the playground.
I'm not.
Yeah, the
the
playground.
alleyway.
Yeah, and look in
I'll
Shelbyville.
see you out after school.
for all you Shelbyville people, you'll remember Morrison Park was the place to go. It was, meet me at Morrison Park after school, and then a crowd would form and the fight would happen, and it'd be that. But
Yep.
now it's right, and now it's hey, you can go and do your fight in between the locker bays at school, but it's recorded.
Yeah.
And not only are we going to,
Right.
it doesn't end there.
Yeah.
We're going to put it on every social media, and we're going to take segments of it and pull the worst moments out and make memes and just fuck with you forever. And so, of course, these kids then are going to internalize that as, and how could you not? It is in that moment, you are being bullied. And how do you stop that?
And then in the other instance, you are feeling powerful. All these people are like, you got
Right.
Well, especially if you
You're
start
getting
winning.
the attention,
yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah.
no doubt.
It goes both ways, and that's
And I want to say 100% for the record, I am not condoning, none of us are condoning fighting at school or anywhere else.
especially anywhere else.
Right? Anywhere else.
No, I mean,
we're not condoning
violence
that part.
is not a good way
It's
to end
not.
violence.
And that goes back to my point of bringing the kids in and teaching them real life conflict resolution. Kieran being an only child, she doesn't have siblings to have a conflict with. And you know what? You live in the same house, work it out. Mom and dad are busy doing their mom and dad stuff. You guys are going to argue, right? That's the disadvantage she has to not having siblings there. Thankfully, all of my siblings had kids, and she spends a lot of times at at my parents' house with the cousins and everything. So she got some of that there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think kids are really at especially single, no sibling kids are at a disadvantage. They don't have that.
Well, yeah, because the only
To
the only
bounce off
pushback
of.
they have is their parents.
No doubt.
And I'm sorry, I'm absolute. You
Right.
do whatever you want to with your house when you get one.
Sure. Same.
It's just immediately, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that was such a you saying.
well, I
It was
mean,
so
damn
funny.
it, dude.
It is literally, that's the words that
Christian's
come out
like,
of my mouth.
why do you have to gloss black every gold mirror? I'm like, because gold sucks. He goes, I said, gold looks tacky. Gloss black looks tacky. I'm like, go to your room.
Yeah. My
Go
house.
to your room. And when you have your house, you can have all the gold
Yeah.
tacky shit you want.
Yeah.
Right.
As I'm out there spray painting shit black.
Right. Like, I like it.
Well, we did compromise. We did compromise with one thing.
I bought these badass chandeliers.
Gold chandelier.
They were beautiful gold, but I don't like gold.
Right.
fucking hate gold.
Yeah.
The only gold
I'm
thing
with
I
you.
have
Yeah.
is that year 2 movie poster over there
Yeah.
because it's a gold. That's their theme.
I showed
And
Adam.
the-
I gave a
the
little
drum
tiny
things
bit.
that-
The outer rims of my wedding band it's gold, but then the middle part is white.
See, I would hate
'Cause
that.
I don't
Black.
I don't like gold. Yeah. Hey.
Black. For those listening, I'm holding up my hand going black.
Black ring
Okay,
on
all right,
my
all right.
finger.
So cyberbullying
Yeah.
among students ages 12 to 18 who reported, I think that should have been underlined like 12
Yes.
times, who reported being bullied at school during the school year, 15% were bullied online or by text. Once again,
Higher, way higher.
way low. I think it's the opposite.
No, I'm saying, yeah, it's way higher than what these
I
stats
think
are saying.
85% should be what it is online.
Yeah.
15% not online.
I agree.
And it says an estimated 14.9% of high school students were electronically bullied in the 12 months prior to the survey.
Our son has been subject to seeing a lot of things, video, picture wise, from his school.
Oh, man. We have a lot of people coming in the tattoo shop. A lot of you guys have a lot of different lives. And we hear the stuff I would hear would paralyze you.
Yeah.
From teachers I tattoo, the death threats they get, how freaking
It's-
little kindergarten kids are bringing weapons to school.
Yeah.
And you
shooting
well,
teachers.
you never hear about it though. And I'm
Right.
talking about locally.
Right.
We're not talking about in California or
Yeah.
in Texas. I'm talking about in Shelby, Tucky.
Yep.
Or Shelbyville. Sorry, I call it Shelby, Tucky.
You're not hurt my feelings, bro.
No, I'm not. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Shelby. I worked there for long enough. I can say it.
Yeah. You
know who
live
you
there.
are.
Yeah, man.
You know who you are.
So like, but it's Shelbyville, Franklin,
Yeah.
Edinburgh, Greenwood, Whiteland.
I
All
mean,
these places,
shit, man,
you know.
people feel like you can't even go to the Greenwood Mall without getting smoked. So,
Well,
We did.
You know what I mean?
We felt weird after going there.
Yeah.
And like before that happened, we went and we were like, this mall is making us uncomfortable.
before we go farther into this, we're referring to an incident that happened earlier this year. Was this year?
it was last year.
Yeah.
The later end of last year, where a young man waited till close and came out with a rifle
He went to the bathroom
and started popping everybody in the food court.
Yep.
And this heroic young man, and I wish I had his name right now.
Yeah, armed citizen.
Do you know his name?
I don't.
I can
Hey.
find it pretty quickly.
Well, it's okay. You can Google this, but this heroic young man saved
Countless numbers of lives.
He ended up getting banned from the mall.
Yeah, because he violated the rule and carried a weapon in there.
But he saved. They
Everybody,
already
yeah.
shot a 12-year-old,
He
a whole family.
Yep.
This guy was going to go to town and start mowing down food
He
court.
was gonna shoot until he ran out of bullets.
literally, like, the reason why I could find him pretty easily, he just got an award.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good deal. Because
Yeah.
that man should have got a key to the city.
He should have.
He saved
He did.
dozens of
Look,
people potentially.
He did our job, right? He did my job. He did what people pay me to do. He didn't run. From the gunfire, he ran towards it and did what people expect the police to do in that situation.
And just like
he
I consider
should
you
be
guys
lauded.
heroes, he's a hero.
No doubt he is. And this guy I don't know him personally and don't know a whole bunch about his personal story, but I'm saying he can't have the man hours I have invested in training in 16 years, right? So
Well, he's only 20.
that's what I'm
something,
saying.
He's
right?
really young.
Yeah. So
23, 24.
how commendable is it that he took action and saved people's lives? It's extremely commendable.
Yes.
Yeah, but we were like, this is feeling weird. We didn't like the
Right.
vibe going on there. And then shortly after that, we heard about that, and then that solidified like our fears
why, right,
of
yeah.
going anywhere.
Well, also
especially
too,
there.
from the people listening to the podcast, know at this point now, me and you are not normal people. No. So and I don't mean that in like a comical
negative
way.
way,
I
right,
mean,
yeah.
we truly. I mean, you're a witch for sure, but your intuition's off the charts. I've never
Yep.
met someone who had a stronger intuition about you. You call people, and I'm like, they're good people, and you're like, no, they're
Something's
not.
up.
And
Yep.
I always get screwed over by those people, and you're like, well, just my heart's so big, blah blah blah. We would sit in this food court, the same food court this tragedy happened in. And I'm like, I don't want to sit here anymore because this is the perfect killing ground.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I built a home movie theater here at the house, right? The one I just showed you a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Because every
Beautiful.
time I go to the movies, I think, all right, my chair's inclined. Someone comes in, I immediately take
How do I get
Nora,
out?
shove her underneath the
Yeah,
chair.
we have to
Start
think
doing
about
this.
that every
I'm gonna
time.
lay on
Isn't
the
that
chair.
sick?
Maybe the bullets will hit me and save my daughter.
Yeah.
I hope to God Christian and Nora are going to be okay, or Christian and Jackie are going to be okay.
Right.
My first priority is Nora sitting
The
right
baby.
next to me. I got to
Right.
take the baby. Put
Yep.
her on it.
Right.
I can watch movies without worrying about being shot.
No shit.
I mean, someone could still break in and shoot me, but
That's
the
my new
chances
fear.
are-
you know what I'm saying? So
my
it's like
fear.
every time we were at the movie theater, due to mental illness being on a hardcore rise,
Yeah.
you have nothing left.
And man, think about this. This is what our kids are indoctrinated with. It took me a significant amount of time, even with my training and background in working with kids. When I heard a kid tell me at school one day, I'm literally scared to come to school, I thought, bullshit. This kid's just trying to give a reason to not come to school. I swear. I mean, I'll be the first person to admit that I was like, right?
You quickly learned, right?
And how quickly I learned, I was like, I've got to understand this perspective better.
Yeah, because
So-
when we were in school, it wasn't like that.
Exactly. So
Columbine, I remember
I
being
used my own
in
experience.
school during Columbine.
Yeah.
That
I
was
in
like
college.
the first,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Well, like national that you heard about
was the
because
first
we
big
didn't
one.
have the internet on our
Exactly. It was the
fucking
first one that
fingertips.
just blew us up.
Well, I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you, it kicked. We're going to get into how addictive and how contagious suicide is
Mm.
here in a minute. That shit was a contagious son of a bitch.
It was. Yeah.
To this day, we still have.
We do.
I mean, how many school shootings have happened this year?
As soon as
Yeah.
as soon
I'm
as
sure
like
it's a dozen or
shooting,
so already.
As soon
Oh,
as
yeah.
one happens, you know, like four
Here we
more are
go.
gonna follow.
Well, because
if it goes a while.
it's addictive. It's the way to become the next Bundy right now.
It is. And
It's horrible.
I think because of the coverage and everything that it gets, it shows kids almost like it's an expectation now. That goes to the base of the fear of the kids who are like, I legitimately am afraid to come to school. And I'm like,
Well,
I get it.
so bullying in schools. What does it take to make a case?
So, like I said, the state statute is, and I'll just read verbatim here what it says. So, bullying is defined as committed by students towards other students. And for the purposes of this rule, bullying is defined as overt, unwanted, repeated acts or gestures, including verbal or written communications or images, transmitted in any manner, including electronically or digitally, physical acts committed, aggression, or any other similar behaviors that are committed by a student or group of students against another student with the intent, that's a big part of this, to harass, ridicule, humiliate, intimidate, or harm the targeted student and create for the targeted student an objectively hostile school environment that, and then here's 4 sub kind of little categories, places the targeted student in reasonable fear of harm to that student, to either their person or property, has the substantially detrimental effect on the targeted student's physical or mental health. That's a big deal. Has the effect of substantially interfering with the targeted student's academic performance, or has the effect of substantially interfering with the targeted student's ability to participate in or benefit from the services, activities, and privileges provided by the school. So that's a lot of words that I just read, okay? Too many. And I'm not faulting the legislature. They wanted to try to capture everything. And that's not all of it. My personal opinion is, at this point, if you feel like you're being bullied, you're being bullied.
Yeah, that should be enough.
I mean,
But
right?
just like the law, you have to fall
There
under the
has to be-
category of what it
yes.
is in order for there to be consequences.
Exactly.
right?
So, in order for that, the base,
I'm not saying
for
I agree
me-
with that.
I
I'm
know.
just
No,
saying
but I think the very bottom rung that you have to at least start with is it has to be reported.
Yeah,
Right.
we instill our kids paper trail.
For sure.
paper trail. I mean, that goes with
that-
adults being
Anything.
abused.
Exactly.
Anything.
And when I say reported, I mean it needs to go to a trusted adult, whether that's a teacher, the SRO,
Dean,
anyone.
any of them. Yeah.
You can't feel kids get wrapped up in this. We're like, well, I told my friend.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt. And I appreciate that you told your friend, and maybe you had the, expectation that your friend was going to tell an adult because you didn't want to, but I can't do anything about something I don't know about, guys.
That sucks so much too,
does.
because even as adults, we feel like the truth of the matter is, even as I'm sure mainly these are all adults watching.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't made for kids. People don't want to get involved because it gets hairy.
Yeah.
We
It's
have
too
that
much
problem all the
work.
time.
I don't want to be a snitch.
Well, but even then, like it's really none of my business.
But I'm telling
You know,
What were you doing to get bullied?
Oh man,
yeah, putting the blame.
that's a can
Yeah.
of
putting the
worms.
blame
I know.
on the, yes.
No, I like it. Don't ever
No,
apologize for
no,
art.
I'm glad. I'm
That's
glad,
amazing.
yeah.
That's huge.
I'm glad you brought that
Well, then you
up.
start thinking, okay, so on that note, let's just delve into that. As a child or an adult at this point, I think we should just, as a person at this point, because this falls under, everything's falling under as adults.
Yeah.
Adults that I know in their 30s and 40s are dealing with the same shit.
Sure.
You know, maybe I was wearing something a little bit provocative. Maybe
Yeah,
it
you
was.
start second guessing.
You know, I did.
Doesn't make it
I did.
okay.
Exactly.
And that's the message we got to push to the kids.
Yes, because
they
if
have
they
to
know it
understand
now,
that.
they can use those tools like you're trying to give
yep.
when you're 35,
And then
when
also,
you're 40,
even if
20s.
like, even if you have a reason to be upset about something, you don't, like we said, use violence either as your
Right.
answer, because then that
Yeah.
turns you into the bad guy.
Exactly. It quickly devolves to that where the only report we ever got about this is when you blew up on this kid in the lunchroom and you smacked him with a tray.
Yes.
We had nothing prior to, and you may be 100% right. Maybe this kid did do X, Y, and Z, but you're the one that took it to the level 10. And so
that's
now you're
fucked
going to
up.
get
I
punished.
quote it all the time, and I'm going to be a nerd again and quote it again. Either you die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt.
Batman, man.
No doubt.
That's just what it is.
It is.
Either-
That's life.
And it
is.
sucks. It sucks.
It does.
Because you don't, but you don't know when you're going to snap. And part of that is you becoming mentally
Building your
ill.
armor.
I
Well, I'm saying like mentally.
Oh
ill.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, getting sick with
Because sometimes
it.
being weighed
Sure.
down by mental illness can feel like armor.
I always try.
And you justify that.
True,
Because
man,
you're given
true.
wrong tools.
For sure.
By normally the friends you're talking to,
Dude.
the adults are giving you wrong advice. I can't
The
tell you.
culture, just the culture itself.
Let's just break that word down. The cult.
Okay. Yeah.
The cult of culture.
Yeah.
yeah.
The
It's-
expectation that
yeah.
you feel like society puts on you to act a certain way in a given situation.
cult, man.
It is.
I
It's an
always-
expectation.
I always try to tell my kids when like they would come at me like with bullying things like question like like their feelings were hurt or whatever and then they would talk about some fights and stuff. I'm like, well, if you're ever in a fight in that situation, don't fight back. Like try to
Protect
find your
yourself.
way out.
Yeah.
Like try to find your way out because if you put your hands on that person, you're going down too.
Well, and what
But
sucks,
I'm also saying, and I also tell them, I'm like, but if you can't find a way out and you're like backed into a corner, then fucking fight your way out. Like I will back you because I've taught you, like avoid or not like avoid, but like don't.
Let me I want to put a spin on this.
Yeah.
Most of our schools these days, almost out of necessity, right, have cameras in them all over the place. Right?
Do they,
Except for the
though?
classroom.
yes.
I will say in my district, okay,
Good.
we have them in all the hallways. I mean, almost all of the ground except for in the actual classrooms. And those are like contract issues with teachers, which I respect and I understand. I can make
degree.
an argument because if I got to wear mine and it's got to record every interaction I got, then,
I'm sorry.
Sometimes the teachers are the bullies.
well,
and that can happen. Now,
that's a can of worms. I'm gonna leave it
yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Now, because specifically the stuff that we're talking about, as it relates to, especially an incident, we had a tragic incident in Shelbyville recently where we had a 14-year-old take her own life. And, man, the words that I will say or that we will say won't come close to describing the hurt and the pain that this young lady had to have gone through in order to feel like that was the only answer. Okay. I can tell you with a fair amount of certainty that bullying was not a part of this specific incident. Where it got gaslit was other people, adults, started this online stuff saying that was a part of this, okay? Now, if it was a part of this, and that will come out in an investigation that our detectives division is handling, then that will come out. But so far, what I've been told, and I was personally involved in that incident, there was no bullying reported. And I can say that for sure on the school side of things. There was no bullying reported by this student as a victim. And I'm not trying to justify anything here. I mean, my heart breaks for this
It's
young lady
incredibly
and her
tragic.
family. As a dad, as a person, as a human, I mean, I am, and still, this is one of those things that it will never leave me. I've taken it on, right? And not to make it about me. It's not about me at all. I'm just saying, as someone who was close to it, and these tragedies happen, guys, in every school district, every year, somebody feels this low, right? And so where we're headed with this is, if bullying is a piece of it, and then that means there's something we can do to stop it, or at least put light on it. And so there's a new bill actually to update the bullying statute that's in the legislature right now, basically saying one of the pieces of this, and I won't get every bit of this right, but one of the pieces of this legislation is, if there's substantiated bullying taking place, the school or the student, either the victim or the bully, either one of them can be moved to another school district, right, for a reprieve. Or, and so I would say that the way that they've drafted it, and I can't verbatim speak to the wording in the law that's proposed, but they'll give the opportunity to the student to choose if they want to move to a new school or if they want the bully to be moved to a new school. So it won't be punitive to the victim. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I like that.
I like it and I don't like
Exactly. here's the carrot. Here's the caveat.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, it has to be reported.
Without a doubt,
Yes.
it needs to be without. It's like the same thing with
Because, hey, Jackie
No,
just really pissed off at you.
Exactly.
Hey, Jeremy, Adam fucking
I'm
decked
sorry.
me tonight.
It's and I'm not condoning anything
No,
when I say these
I'm
things.
not either.
But it's exactly
I
the
have to be the
same
devil's
thing as
advocate.
abuse
Yes.
and sexual abuse. My brother's in
can be
prison
taken
right.
advantage of.
My brother's in prison right now. Currently, he's been in prison Christian's entire life now.
Yes.
He's in prison right now because they were throwing life at him, but he pleaded guilty for something he did not do. And Brown, Detective Brown, I don't know if he's still with you guys or
No,
not.
he's retired.
Is he retired?
Yep.
He got tattooed by me one time. This
Yep.
is a segue story, but it's the point still set the same. Before I laid the stencil on, we sit down. All right, buddy, you ready? He goes, I have a confession to make before you work on me. I was the lead detective for your brother, and that was a hard day because I
No
was
doubt.
like, what?
What the fuck, man?
Well, first off, dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, I can tell you were a good dude because I listened to all your phone calls. And I was like, what? Like the ones with Jacob, you know, he goes,
Yeah, yeah.
And your brother would talk to you. And it was extremely emotional. What I'm getting at is that he was like, we were telling Jake in particular, which is my brother, that we knew he didn't do this. Do not take this plea.
Yeah.
We know she is lying.
Yeah.
Stick with this.
Right.
My mom
You
bought
can
him a
beat the
lawyer and
case.
everything else.
Right, yeah.
But they pushed fear onto him,
No
and
doubt.
he pleaded guilty for it. And now forever
So
he's
he
going to have
wouldn't
this
take
charge
life.
on him.
Right.
So he got this many years instead of life.
Yeah. And he's thinking, dude, do I really want to roll the dice?
That's exactly
this kind
it's
of
his
charge?
life. Exactly.
Because what are the
And-
odds?
Right. No, and you know what? That's his decision. It's his bed.
True.
I am my brother's keeper to a degree.
I
will say
understand,
to a
bro.
degree.
I understand.
But the thing I'm getting at is that this happened to an adult man. She knew he had a record,
Yep.
and she used this to get him out of there.
If we don't think kids are manipulators, and
They
they're
are
not gonna,
master manipulators.
they are,
dude.
and they've learned from us.
So I like it, and I don't like
I
it.
understand.
Odin is listening to us big time.
Goonies, we just found the
Thor.
map, dude.
Thor is rocking right now,
Yeah.
dude. We got one eye on this conversation, and I like it.
Listen,
He's like, yes.
yeah. So I think
That was for Jake.
word. I think here's the deal. We, all of us, parents, school administrators, teachers, have to be better. We have to be more involved. Okay. As a result of all of this stuff that came up in Shelbyville after this tragedy, we had some parents that were pushing some, I'm going to just straight up say, not truths online through social media. And I know that's hard to believe,
Well,
but for them, for the people
was that sarcasm?
a little bit
Okay. Go
for
ahead.
them, man. I mean, the heart in me and the empath wants to believe that they were fighting a just cause and that they weren't doing it to cause chaos, but they were so misinformed in the information that they were putting out that all it did was create more hurt and more.
Especially for the family. She
Exactly.
was just buried.
Exactly.
This was extremely recent. I happen to know about this
Yep.
situation.
And I talked to our school administrators. I talked to the school board. I talked to my wife. And I talked to the chief. And I said, listen, this is what I would like to do. I would like to offer an opportunity for people to come in an open forum and be heard. Okay? Because school board meetings, as you all know, listeners, they've monsters. What's the word I want to use? They've made bad situations out of school board meetings where they're bound by specific rules and laws. Okay, so school board meetings are only allowed to happen per the agenda, and they're all
You can't discuss things that aren't,
on
on the
an agenda. And sometimes it does appear that those things are orchestrated in a way to not allow certain conversations to take place. I'll readily admit that. And no doubt that happens in some places. In this personal situation we're talking about now, more recently, the school board determined We're not going to have this conversation today as it was the day that this young lady was buried. And out of respect for her and the family, we're not going to do this today. Being a human, I understand people just sometimes need to be heard. You're not listening, that means you're 100% against me.
Or you're hiding something.
Exactly. And that's the bigger thing. You're sweeping it under the rug. You're trying to make it seem like it's not, as big a deal as it really is. Well, our biggest problem, I think, is people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you let people be heard, it'll do a couple things. A, you validate that person who what they had to say. And it takes the wind out of the sails, especially if you can give good information and say, look, I can understand why you think that, but you were mistaken in the information that you had. Here's the real information. Here's what I'm allowed to share. One piece of information that I can tell everybody is that juvenile situations, especially dealing with bullying, is even if you're the victim's parent, you don't have the right to know what discipline the student who was the aggressor got. It's a juvenile process. Yeah. So by law, to protect juveniles, right, we can't disclose what happened. You may be able to know a juvenile was arrested on a particular day, and you may be able to see that a juvenile was charged with a crime. You'll never know that student's name unless you're personally associated with them and they tell you, because we're bound by law. We can't release certain information, right? So this forum, my goal is to bring the police department, which I'll represent the police department. Melissa will represent the youth assistance program, so we can have some, hey, these are some options. These are some things that we do proactively to limit bullying when we have an opportunity to do it. And also, I'm going to invite a mental health professional to sit on the panel with us, and obviously some representatives from the school corporation, so that people have an opportunity to ask some questions and get some answers, and then also get real good information. And I think we can clear the air that way with some of this stuff. And then my goal is to further, beyond that, hold public, meetings like that in the future. When we have stuff like this that comes up, how often is it that just stories get thrown around? Like, I check out personally. I'm like, I'm not even interested in reading this because I know it's bullshit, right? Well, I miss stuff because I don't. And I realize that, right? But it's a choice I make because I don't want to get wrapped up into the fury that becomes the social media nonsense.
Yeah, the mob, basically.
Yeah, that mob mentality. And then I get so mad, the human comes out in me, and then I don't make rational decisions. So I just decide to check out from it, and I don't pay attention to it until it becomes something that, hey, this is on your plate. You got to deal with this. But again, I like to come with solutions, And you and I talked about this when I was getting work done the other day. I think it'll be good. And you know what? I hope some hard questions get asked. And I hope there's some questions that we don't immediately have answers for, that together we can take some time and truly come up with a solution to, hey, you know what? Maybe we have been doing this a way that isn't the best. Let's do it better. How can we all come together and make this so that bullying isn't a thing, at least for our school corporation? And then maybe other school corporations go, hey, man, this is working for them. Let's adopt some of these ideas and tweak it and make it better for us. Because our fix isn't going to be what's best for your community, right?
Well, the number one way to change the world is change yourself.
No shit.
And that's why I do consider you a bully warrior, because without I'm sure you do realize it, but everything we've been talking about on the list of what it's like to be bullied and what it is being on that list of things that we consider to be bullying is isolation.
No doubt.
What I love about your plan and what you're doing on your own time and your own passion to clarify to these people without, I don't know, maybe you do realize it, of course, but you're removing these people from isolation.
For sure.
So you're removing them from being bullied, even if they're bullying themselves with their own bad information.
Right.
I think it's wonderful.
I appreciate it.
I think it's wonderful. And I think that I can only hope that situations like you're doing and time you're taking and the care and the people you're lining up and the passion you have to allow people to become more aware of the actual situation is just as contagious as suicide itself.
Indeed.
you know, because every time a kid kills himself in school,
That's
Johnny
the biggest
thinks,
worry, dude.
well, I mean, it's contagious.
It is.
Right?
It's like a disease.
It is.
Because they see, holy crap.
Everyone's talking about Johnny.
Yep.
You know what? I wish they
Maybe
just
that's
talk
the
about
way.
me. And
Or-
then when it takes about 3 or
Before-
4 till everyone's like, that's not the way.
Right.
You still lost
No
a
doubt.
few.
Oh my God,
You know?
dude.
And that
and
was mainly before we learned that, right? And
Yeah.
started sending in the counselors by droves.
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
So you're basically doing that to a town because then you have adults now suffering from the loss of a child. I
For
mean,
sure.
Burying anyone younger than you is against the rules of nature.
It's traumatic for everybody.
know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I like it, man. I mean, the bully warrior aspect of it, I think, is great. I really think that I hope that it becomes contagious. I really do.
I do too.
I'm rooting for it, man. And because misinformation, we are in the misinformation age.
Yeah.
We're on repeat constantly on this podcast, right?
Dude.
It's the truth,
But
though.
we are.
There's a lot of it, a lot of things that we talk about, it's like, can go for a lot of different things.
It's perception.
Well, the world is small.
It is.
It's a small world. We're all in it together for a short amount of time.
And I think a lot of us, man, we experience the same things and we just perceive it a little bit differently. And so we think it's human nature to think, man, this is just all on me.
Mm-hmm.
But we are sitting here right now, all of us suffering the same tragedy, just knowing that someone was in that dark moment and they made the ultimate decision, right? I get cold chills even thinking about it for any kid, right?
Oh, it sends me on a dark path.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
right?
our son actually brought up, which, like I said, I believe everything happens for a reason. I live
Yep.
by that code.
Yeah.
Our son brought up to us today on dinner. It's been 3 years since his good friend killed herself
Yeah.
in Franklin,
Man.
and he thinks about her
All the time.
Yeah.
many times a day. I would say,
Right.
and you
Imagine the impact that
well,
had on
no,
him, man.
exactly.
And he still doesn't know why she did
yeah,
it.
because there's no
answer.
information.
It'll haunt him forever.
So imagine the kid who's her friend and all they see on social media, which if you don't think they see on social media, you nuts,
everything.
right? Because it's forever. I feel like, it's like this lesson isn't taught to these kids properly and we're working really hard to do it. Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase.
No, we are.
No, I'm not. I'm working with adults.
Adam, you're giving me the opportunity. This gets this message out there.
Well-
so we are doing this collectively.
But at the same time, I hope kids don't watch this because we are very foul
for
languaged.
sure, for sure.
So, but
Or
you know what?
maybe
If it
we're
works-
relatable.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
I
No
doubt
doubt. Man, honestly, you know what, man? Truly, more kids grow up in an environment where they could relate to this more than they could the other. And that's a sad statement.
Well,
But I can tell you that from experience.
my hope would be is that if you're getting it from us, because it just doesn't sound right out of the mouth of your parents. I mean, how many times have you told your daughter something over and over and over again? But a family friend will be like, hey,
One
you know
time
what?
and it's gospel. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe, I mean, if this can save one life,
For sure.
not trying to be that corny rock star wannabe
No,
guy,
I know.
if my song can save one life.
Right.
But genuinely, I believe in that code.
Yeah.
Perception is if I
Everything.
drew a 6 on a piece of paper for you, you're going to see a 9.
Absolutely.
And we need to really
Hone in on that. Man.
Yeah, man,
We need to do a better job of respecting that.
Yes.
And noticing that.
at no matter what age,
Yeah, for sure.
because bullying is all around the board.
It is. And it's something that carries over into your adult life. Like if you are, with your permission,
Go ahead.
in case there are kids that are watching this,
Yeah.
and parents, show your kids this segment, okay? Because I'm going to make a statement directly to the kids, right? First of all, if you're being bullied, please report it to somebody, an adult that you know has to report it, okay? So a teacher, a faculty member at your school, a police officer, a fireman, a medic, anybody, a doctor, anyone like that in a professional position, we are bound by law to look into this and to carry it forward, okay? If you tell one of us, it must by law be investigated, is what I will say. And if you tell someone and it hasn't been investigated, tell another person. Because the chances that you get somebody who doesn't follow the rules, they're really low. If you find yourself in a situation where you've reported it to an adult and it didn't get looked into, tell someone else. until you get an answer that you're comfortable with, that it's been looked into. Okay. We have to look into it. We will look into it. Tell your kids to call over to the Shelbyville High School or police department and tell me. I will make sure it gets reported to the right people. Okay. To make sure that it stops. That's how much we care about this. All right.
I mean, you could even call the tattoo shop.
Seriously. He'll get a hold of me. Guaranteed.
And
Dude,
I don't-
he'll
and
say,
I'm gonna-
hey,
I'm
dude,
gonna be
you
honest
opened up a
with you.
can. But it is what it is.
We have people that have already been listening to this from all over the country. I even have a couple people overseas.
Yeah.
I don't know how well I can do with that promise, but I will tell you that at least in the country I know of the U.S.,
We'll get it to the people that need to get it.
I don't care where you are.
No doubt.
317-868-8221 is the shop number.
And 317-392-2511 is for the police department. You can ask for Sgt O'Connor. I get calls all the time. All the time. All right. Whether I'm on duty for the department or off, I promise you we won't let you slip through the cracks. That's the promise that we can make. All right.
Well, you have a voice for sure.
And also, like, no bullying situation, in my opinion, is too small
No doubt.
to report.
No doubt. I don't have to know you. We don't have to know you to care about your life. Okay. And to the adults listening, if a child has reported something to you, man, do the right thing and report it, pass it on. Whether you think it's BS or not,
It is your business.
it is. No shit. They
Yeah.
brought it to you because you might be the only outlet they have. Please believe them. At least give them the courtesy to pass it on to somebody who can investigate it properly. And that doesn't mean take it straight to the police. That means take it to their parent. If their parent is maybe the person being accused, take it to somebody that can look into it. Just do them that service. So many victims are watching this, Adam, right? Or could get this message, and they know what we're saying is true, and they're feeling that isolation right now. Like, fuck, I told somebody, dude, and it just backfired on me or whatever. Then you didn't tell the right people.
Almost
and I'm not
every
making
female victim ever.
Yeah, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm saying don't give up on yourself. If you're a victim of something, fucking report it. And get until you get somebody who is like, yep, I'm taking it seriously and I'm going to see it through the end.
Anything at all that you feel is wrong,
Tell somebody.
tell somebody.
Tell somebody.
I said it last podcast, but I think it's better for this one. What would you like right now? What would make your life absolutely perfect?
Dude, if I didn't have bills and I could just
Okay,
wake up, yep.
say your farm is exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh man, it's just spending time with my family.
So say that I give you all that
Yeah.
right now, but you're not going to wake up tomorrow morning. Taking it?
No way.
So what you're saying is just by waking up in the morning,
I'm-
it's better than anything you could ever dream of?
Absolutely.
Your life is important. Thanks for coming on, bro. Shake my hand,
Hell yeah,
motherfucker.
dude. Hell yeah. Thank you, young lady.
Sergeant Jeremy O'Connor.
Appreciate it.
It was fun, man.
It was real fun, brother.
I mean, you know,
I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah,
It
as
wasn't
much
like,
as it can be fun.
yeah. But look, the biggest thing is we got to be able to push out some good info, and I really hope it reaches people.
yeah. No, and I think, I think this was definitely something that needed to be said.
Thank you guys for the platform.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate
of course.
it.
Yep. I'm here to help anytime, man. And plus, I just enjoy hanging out.
Heck yeah.
I mean, this is going to be definitely the longest one if I didn't split it up into two. And if I did split it up into two, I'm sorry, Dakota, because I guarantee he was like, what the